5 members of a 5-member board here. At this time, we would ask Shirley to give our invocation, and we will go into our Pledge of Allegiance.
Please. Our dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this beautiful day, this beautiful place we live, and we especially thank you for the recent rains. We ask your blessing on this meeting today, and please be with those that make the decisions and help them to make the correct decisions for the betterment of Fort Clark. We ask your blessing on our servicemen and women the world over, and we ask that you bless each family represented here today. It is in the name of Jesus Christ we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Any announcements or correspondence?
Oh, I guess the Bracketville Independent School District sent us a letter. Dear Fort Clark Springs, the Bracketville Senior Class of 2012 would like to thank you for your generous donation towards our project graduation this year. Your donation will go towards making our last night as Brackett High School students safe and memorable. Without your donation, this event would not be possible. We are incredibly thankful for your generosity and support to our class. This year has been unforgettable, and we appreciate your efforts and contributions in making our senior year our most memorable. Sincerely, the Brackett High School Class of 2012, and it was signed by all of them.
Approval of minutes. You have your April minutes in your packet. If you have read them and everything, then we would need to approve these minutes.
The only thing I've got a question about is our special meeting where we bought the trucks. How come the minutes, they don't go on this, or they're disregarded, or?
The only answer I have for that, sir, is I forgot to get them typed up.
So we postpone this till we get them to it?
We can approve those when we do the interviews next week, maybe. Just approve those minutes before we go into that interview session.
So I moved to the Board of Directors of Fort Clark Springs Association met in regular session on Saturday, April 21st in the boardroom. All board members were present. Observers listed on an attached page, and it gives what we did. Is that sufficient? I move that we approve the minutes as noted, that the special meeting will be approved at a later date. Approve this set of minutes.
Okay. I have a motion and a second to approve the April 21st minutes of the board meeting. All in favor? Motion passes, 4 members voting. Presentation of our financial statement.
I'll make a motion that we approve the financial statement that was presented to me in the primary draft for audit.
I have a motion.
I second the motion, and this is for discussion, right?
This is for discussion.
Right, I second the motion.
I have a motion and a second to look at our financial statement that was presented to us in our board packets. All in favor? I didn't see the hands. All in favor to look at the financial statements? 3 members voting.
4.
I never seen Ralph's. Oh, I did. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. You got to keep them up so I can look both ways. All right. I have a motion and a second, and everybody in favor of discussing our financial statements.
Okay, I've got a problem with it. On our profit and loss summary, and I think y'all got one of them out there, our current month total income was $240,000, 829,000. But we've got a daily cash flow here for the whole month of April, and it's $31,000 short of that number. I'm not exactly sure why. And the expenses are $29,000 short, but yet the cash flow is within $2,000 of what they have for net profit and loss. I don't know, the expenses went up on a lot of things. The revenue went up a bunch, but administrative expense went up $16,000 and change. Maintenance expense went up $21,000. And I didn't see on here anywhere where our 2 new pickup trucks were added in there either. So I don't understand what I'm looking at here, I guess.
I think I'll need to check, Mr. Overson, but that check might have been written right after the 1st of April. I'm not sure, but I'll need to check and see. I just don't recall right now. As far as the difference in the cash flow and what shows up under revenue, part of that, again, we can get in Monday and check for sure what it is. Part of that would be those members that prepay their assessments, also those that would prepay at the RV park, the quarterly dues at the golf course. In other words, when those monies come in, they reflect on the cash flow statement that month. But then, like on the assessments, if somebody paid their assessments a year in advance back in October, that's going to reflect on the October cash flow. But then the $35 of it is going to reflect for this April statement as far as revenue. So there's several things that could tie into it, but we can check into it Monday, and I think provide an answer that'll be satisfactory.
Right, because I looked through the rest of the balance sheet and profit and loss statements that we get, and I couldn't really determine where that was. I mean, it may be there, but
Okay.
I don't see it anywhere.
Yes, sir.
So.
Okay, all right.
And I would, how come our expenses and different things like administrative expense went up $16,000? Why would it be $16,000 more than last month? Some of it would probably be air conditioning, maybe.
We had 5 Mondays last month in April. Would that be something to do with?
I can check on that Monday. I don't have all the individual stuff in here in front of me
This
right
month
now,
we
but I can
only
check on
have
it
4
Monday.
Mondays in here.
Mhm.
Last month we had 5.
Mhm.
So your work period was probably a longer period. I've asked those same questions and been
Mhm.
caught because you had more days in the
Yes,
month.
that
You had more.
plays into it. Yes, ma'am.
And a question we've got here is, this is the first time we have ever seen a daily cash inflow. I mean, a monthly cash inflow. It's everything that came through and everything that went to the bank and every check that went out this month. So this is totally new to the board. So we've got some questions because the figures don't add up to the normal packet. So we need to understand. We just want y'all to know we're trying to understand.
And I think this is something we need to continue to have every month too, probably, right? This daily ledger sheet.
If that's what the board wants, then that's what we'll provide. Yes, sir. We can provide just about anything that y'all want to see.
As far as the trucks, you asked why they wasn't on here, because we didn't approve those trucks till the 30th, so the check wouldn't have been wrote till the Monday or Tuesday, which would have fell in
On
May.
the next month?
Yes.
Okay.
Just so we understand, that was on the 30th we approved those trucks, so it would have been the following week before the check would have been wrote.
Okay.
Anything else on the cash?
Just those discrepancies.
I would make a motion, I would move that we accept it as noted with, the explanations forthcoming.
I'll second that motion.
I have a motion to accept the financials as with the noted documentation that we discussed here today. All in favor? Motion passes. 4 members voting. Approval, transfer of funds.
I'll make a motion that we approve the transfer of funds after as presented to me in the document for operating expenses and payroll.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that, but it's for discussion, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Always.
I have a motion and a second to look at our bank transfers. All in favor? We have 4 members voting yes. Discussion?
I'm probably dumber than a sack full of hammers, but I didn't really understand last month what we talked about. I kind of thought I did, but then this month we're transferring 10,000 less than we did last month, which probably is okay, but I don't see where it came from and went to.
Okay. All of our daily deposit at the bank down here into the general fund. As we also maintain the impound fund down here as well as Los Morris Corporation. As monies are needed for our payables, monies are transferred out. It's never it's not the same amount transferred out, but a check is written and transferred out to Community Bank in Del Rio. If you want to go through them quickly.
Well, the first one is Bank and Trust General Fund, and then the first two are $62,000. But on this one over here, I guess it doesn't. Can you tell where it should have came from on this Fort Clark Springs bank balance statement, or how much is?
No, sir. This right here, if you'll look at this page 8, it's showing you exactly where it's coming from and where it's going into.
Going down.
On page 8.
From what they...
The very first one, Bank and Trust General Fund to Bank and Trust Los Morris. Los Morris is where our the beer sales and so forth out at the golf course at the time. And we keep just a minimal
Okay,
amount
that's that Texas community checking up here then. On this page, that's Fort Clark.
Again, this is a new page we've never seen.
Can't even tell what page you're looking at.
This is what he's looking at. We've never had that in our package before either.
Oh, that's your bank balances.
This is balance.
That's your balances in those bank.
Okay, so
That
that
was-
would have been the balance at
okay.
the end of the month,
All
and that
that-
wouldn't have shown.
All that was just to show y'all, because you want more information, which you certainly need to have. It gives rise to a lot more questions, but that's good. All this shows is just the total amount of money that was transferred from one account to another within the month. But you're not going to be able to.
It's not going to work with this sheet here at all, then. This is
No,
just
sir,
the
there's
bank
no
balance
way
at
you're
the
going
end
to
of
be
the
able to
month.
get, those numbers are not going to tie in together.
Okay,
No,
that's
sir.
And this is strictly what was transferred that paid the monthly bills.
Yeah, okay,
That's what it is.
okay. I'm kind of a little bit clearer on it now.
And if you look down before another question comes up next to the bottom one, Bank and Trust Payroll to Texas Community. Okay, that's something, IRS levy. That is not the association. We have an employee that happened to have an IRS levy. The way that has to be handled, online through the banks, it has to show up as a separate, it shows up as a separate line item, just so for y'all's information what it is.
Okay.
And I think Mr. Young signs that check.
Yeah,
I believe he signs that check
gotta
each
sign
month.
another check.
Yes, sir.
not
It's two
complicated.
separate checks. Yes, sir.
And I did question it when we were doing it, but I got it straight in my mind, and I didn't know whether you got a question about it or not.
Okay.
Any more discussion? So I have a, yeah, we voted.
Yeah, we voted.
Page 1 to the next one.
That was 4 members voting to approve the transfer of funds. Interim Director of Operations report.
Okay. Okay, facility rentals, back in April, they began to pick up. It seems like the rentals tend to
Is
pick
your
up during the...
microphone on? I'm having a hard time hearing you.
Is this better?
Yes.
Can everyone hear me?
Yeah.
All right. During the warmer months, that's when the facility rentals really began to pick up, particularly April, May, with graduation parties. There's a lot more usage at the swim park, even the service club, the different picnic areas, because of not only parties, family reunions, and so forth. So we stay pretty busy on facility rentals during that time. Today, the Border Patrol is having this is probably the 30 some odd year that they've had their annual family picnic, if you will, for the Border Patrol. It started out just the local agents. At that time, there was maybe 10 or 12 of them stationed here. Then they expanded it to include the whole sector and even ones from outside the sector. They have a number of them stay in the motel, so that's extra revenue for us. They have a golf tournament for several years. They've had a golf tournament. This brings in some revenue for us. They also pay a fee for a number of years. We didn't charge them a fee in exchange for them paying for the use of it. When they had their maintainer over here, they went around our fence line and kind of kept that cleaned out as essentially a fire barrier. It helped them and it helped us too. But that was done away with a number of years ago, and so they have to pay now. I do know last year they had always, on Sunday morning after their event, it was normally clean down there, and there were even agents tidying up what hadn't been cleaned the night before. Last year, I don't know who dropped the ball. It was a mess, and there was great concern over it. I think that we'll find that this year it's different. There is a cleanup crew. I think the senior officer who happens to live here at Fort Clark will ensure that everything is left clean and tidy as it should be. The motel, during April, we had 96 members that stayed in the motel and 367 non-members. We finished the month with a 41% occupancy rate. We've had a number of inquiries from either oil field workers or the ones working on the windmill project down below Spofford, inquiring about a weekly rate. Be here for like a number of months, if not longer. We have pitched that to them. Well, of course, they're on a per diem. We'll see how we're hoping that, because that would work out great for us, because they would be coming in, essentially staying Monday night through Thursday night, leaving on Friday. That would free us up for weekends when we tend to be busier in the motel during the summer months. So we're hoping something works out along those lines. The same holds true with the RV park. They already have ones from not only the oil field, but I think the windmill project too, stand at the RV park, and have had more inquiries. So that's good revenue for us. I think probably, certainly I don't know if I could see into the future. I probably could make us all very wealthy. But it just seems that as this oil and gas boom continues, I can see it maybe in several years moving even closer to us. I personally think that Fort Clark maybe is on the cusp of something really big and great. I do know that there are members that are opposed to oil field workers, that, well, they're just white trash, blah, blah, blah. I've heard this. But as far as housing and what have you, I can see that there would be good revenue for the association in time to come. That's something the board needs to have planning sessions on. Just my opinion. I'm certainly not trying to tell the board what to do, but planning sessions on this as far as just giving some consideration to long-range plans along those lines. The good rains we've had at the golf course has certainly helped the improvement out there. Later on in the meeting, the board will be considering a request from the golf committee as far as some work on one of the fairways out there. I would like to, I think before I thank the different volunteers we have, but I'd like to especially thank the golf course volunteers, and particularly the Men's Association. For a number of years, most of the revenue from their Lost Morris tournament has been donated right back into the golf course operation. It's ranged anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000 a year that they donate back into the golf course, working with the golf maintenance manager, things that he needs, whether it be sprinkler heads, water lines, sand seed, some piece of equipment, whatever. So that's a real help to the association, and I for one really appreciate it. The Adult Center and Activity Center, there were a total of 798 individuals visited the Adult Center during April. A number of those go to the gym, exercise class, dance class, and what have you on a regular basis. The revenue was $60.25. The Activity Center for the kiddos had 265 participants. Their guest fees and snacks brought in $577.35, and it's only open 2 evenings a week. I guess what we need is somebody to give the those that go to the activity center. They've got the parents that give them money to spend for snacks or games or whatever. they spend a lot of money up there. At the adult center, the folks that go up there don't have anybody to give them money to spend. So maybe we need to figure out some way to, yeah. Jennifer Link, who's one of our a relatively new member, she has this last year has voluntarily done the dance and exercise classes, and I visited with her this last week, and she kind of pitched a proposal for a 2-week class for camp, if you will, for ages 5 through 16 at the activity center. It would be kind of a dance, exercise, arts and crafts, would run from like maybe 8:30 in the morning till 1:30 in the afternoon. A definite fee has not been set yet, but maybe $25 a week to, kind of offset expenses. The revenue from that would be split. I can see it would be a good chance those mothers that don't work, it would be somewhere that they could kind of have a free few hours from the kiddos. Those that do work, they maybe wouldn't have to be paying a babysitter during that time. I know through the years from visiting with members that have grandkids visiting, while they're glad to have the grandkids visiting, sometimes they could like to have just a little break from the grandkids. So that might be something that would be interesting too. Well, as we maybe get this fleshed out, more information will be provided later. This would probably be sometime during the month of July. Our swim season officially kicks off Memorial Day weekend. Lifeguards and pool attendants have been hired. Marcy Marshall will be supervising the pool operation this summer. She had stepped up and volunteered to do this. She's worked with the county and the Red Cross. In the past, we've always sent our lifeguards to Del Rio Uvalde for Red Cross training, but we had enough between what will be at the city pool and what we have up here that she was able to talk Red Cross into coming here and doing the training sessions as opposed to having to go over there. So I think that's working out very well for us. The 4th of July, it falls on Wednesday this year, so the actual celebration will be on that Saturday following, which will be the 7th. For a number of years, kind of the city, county, and Fort Clark have joined efforts. Fort Clark provided the location for part of it. There were different donations from different groups, organizations, and individuals to help offset some of their expenses. I think the plans are to expand it a little more this year. Instead of just the parade and the ceremony and meal and fireworks, they are planning to have something throughout the afternoon, like maybe music at the Rendezvous Park of different kinds, maybe a fajita or a chili cook-off or both. On that Friday night prior to, there had been talk of having like a family movie night at the amphitheater. Rio Grande Electric has a projector and a very large screen that they could bring to show a movie. It would just be one other activity for members and their guests, everyone to participate in. Of course, the parade would be on Friday morning, followed by the ceremony. The 4-H, I believe, is going to be providing lunch that day. You pay for it, but they're the one that will be doing the cooking, kind of as a fundraiser for them.
What day would be the actual celebration?
This will be on the 7th, on that Saturday.
That Saturday.
Yes, following the 4th, with
Okay.
it falling on
You
Wednesday.
just said Friday for...
Well, the movie night would be on that Friday
On
night
that Friday
at the
night.
amphitheater.
Okay.
Yeah. We had eight FRMs that were sold during the month of April, and 30 transfers were processed, 9 memberships given back. Since October, we've sold 28 FRMs and 4 properties. And at the close of business in April, we had right at 2,300 members. Some of these FRMs that have been sold have been ones, I believe, at the RV park, ones from the Windmill Crew, oil, whatever, that wanted to go ahead and buy an FRM. Our collections continue at a good pace. Pardon me. This time of year, a lot of members that maybe have gotten past due through the year, they tend to come in and see what kind of arrangements they can make to get caught up, so they will be able to use the pool at no cost, have guests at the pool during the summer. So this has kind of been a good collection tool for us. The 180-day redemption period has just passed relating to 3 foreclosed properties up here. One place, one place in Unit 14 and 2 in Unit 27. Those are just vacant lots. These will be coming up for sale very soon, and if signs have not already been put up, they will be shortly. Then in June, we'll have 3 more foreclosed properties that the redemption period will have expired. Those are in Unit 3, 22, and 27. Security continues to be busy with just routine patrols and dogs barking and complaints about hearing gunshots at, different locations. Most of it, well, I would say all of it, would be coming from like over at the gun range, either the 4-H or the Fort Clark gun range. There's always disagreements between neighbors that they want security to take care of or want the office to take care of. They assist EMS and welfare checks. There's always several times through the month an individual will call and want a family member checked on, and they go and do that. Security Patrol has, the last several weeks, seen a number of feral hogs in the back area in the vicinity of what we call the old zoo farm area. And even one night as close up as along the creek there behind the pro shop. This is a great concern because then they can do a lot of damage in one night, particularly on the golf course that would really be easy digging. Working with the trapper, no snares have been set up on our property. It's just not a good idea. But just across the fence line on the adjoining ranch, these snares have been put in place because we knew where the hogs were, coming onto our property. We're able to tell. They've caught 1 boar and I think 2 big sows and maybe a pig. What we're doing right now, it's security, primarily Matt with security, the local trapper, the game wardens, and I think 1 deputy. We're doing some baiting in those areas where they've been noticed with like sour corn, and gradually try to get them pulled more back toward the area of behind the sewer plant for further down. If any of you are out and walking in the back areas with your little dogs, we'll just be extra careful. They're not something that's going to just charge you, but if your little dog got loose and started chasing them, and they have pigs, most of them have pigs this year, it could certainly be a serious problem. I don't know how many of you noticed that our flagpoles the 2 at the gate and the large flagpole out here on the par 3 got a fresh coat of paint just this week. This is something that's been in the works for several months. It was even mentioned by the Preservation and Restoration Committee. There were rust spots on it. We knew that it needed to be checked at the brackets, the pulley, the joints for stability and so forth. The individual that came out from San Antonio happens to be the one that did the last painting some 15, 16 years ago. It was quite interesting to watch him doing the work, if any of you stopped to observe, especially on the flag out there at the par 3. We had just requested work on the large flagpole, but when he got here, he said, let me just go ahead and do the 2 at the front gate and give them a fresh coat of paint while I'm here at no extra charge. It did cost $900, but I don't really know of anybody that would be willing to climb $10. That's a 94-foot pole.
As they looked at the flagpole, I know there was some question about some of the rust on there.
Yes.
Did they really take a look at that rust?
Yes, they did. That was one of the things at the joints. Yes, that was part of the inspection process. That was everything is okay. The pulleys, everything at the top is brackets and so forth. Everything at the top is okay. That was scraped and in places primed where it had been scraped and sanded and then repainted.
Thank you.
Where's my other thing?
Still digging for something.
The last item I want to address here, it's something that would normally come up in just a work session with the board, but since everything has to be open now, I'll go ahead and mention it now. As far as not only the open not so much the open meetings, but there seems to be a difference of opinion in the duties of the board member versus management, and also the information that is provided to the board by management. Any information that the board wants, certainly, if we can provide that, it's absolutely no problem. I do think, just my opinion, the board maybe does need to have some work sessions and decide for sure how they want to handle things for the coming year and even on into the future. Up until 1981, essentially the developer North American Towns, he was acting as consultant to the board, and along with the board of directors, essentially they handled all the day-to-day operations. They had a general manager, but that general manager didn't really do anything. At that time, the board took action, and essentially there was a motion made at that time that recognizing that the association board of directors has functioned as an executive body and has, in effect, managed the operations of the association, and recognizing further that the continuation of such executive management by the board of directors is not in the best interest of the association and its membership, the board of directors now resolves that the board shall henceforth be a policy-making body, and that executive power over day-to-day operations shall be the responsibility of a paid general manager hired by the board and serving subject to the will of the board. And so at that time there was an amendment to the bylaws that essentially detailed the day-to-day operations were the responsibility of the manager, with exceptions such as could not change the declaration, the bylaws, the rules and regulations, enter into a lawsuit, a number of things that could not do. That was in place until 2005, when there was an amendment done that changed the wording just a little bit. And essentially, instead of saying day-to-day operations, it just said the duties of the director of operations. The director would have full authority and power of the board in the management and business affairs of the association, with the exception, and it gives 8 or 10 different exceptions. That has been in place all through the years. Whether it was right or wrong, that was just how boards chose to have the operation go. In 2003, the board, for reasons I won't go into, the board eliminated the position of general manager. At that time, they appointed an executive committee to act essentially in that position. That was done for about a year. We still have, I know, one board member, one person that was on the board at that time that was involved in that. Number one, the main reason was legal ramifications. Secondly, the cash flow at that time. After that first year and getting past a kind of a time frame, if you will, then it reverted back. They went ahead and hired a director of operations, and things continued on with the board as policy making. That's entirely up to the board. The board has the authority to change the bylaws as they see fit. If the board decides they want to, handle the day-to-day operations or and need more information, want to be involved in all aspects, that is absolutely no problem. I, for one, along with the staff, all the employees, we want to work not only for the board but with the board to acting in the best interest of the association. But the board needs to make these decisions. But I'm just trying to give you a little bit of background on what has transpired through the years. I hope it will be beneficial to you in the decisions you will be making. Most corporations, companies, business have a board of directors, but then they have, it's more essentially the policy-making position, but they have someone hired to handle the rest of it. The day-to-day stuff, the underwater stuff that most folks never see that keeps a business up and running. If there's any questions, I'll be glad to try to answer them. But aside from that, whatever your decision is, you've got full support of all the staff. And I can provide you so much information, your email will be blocked.
And I
So
agree with that.
that's whatever the board wants, just let us know.
I agree with that. The downside of that is that JP Morgan, that one guy just lost $2 billion and decided he'd go home and left the rest of them hold the sack. So, and that's kind of where we got to be. We lost 300 G's last year somehow, and now we're in a train wreck. And we do need to work together. I think that what we talked about at that workshop the other day, when Nancy made a comment there, I think the board, in my opinion, I think we should essentially direct one of us to do our interaction with the office as opposed to individuals. I think it should be Debbie because she's the president, but it doesn't matter who it is. It could be anybody. I mean, but I think the board members need to work through the board themselves to designate one person to go down to the office when we need information, if it's something that we want to know today as opposed to any other time, and have one person do it, not all of us. I don't think we all need to be down there.
Thank you, Mr. Overson. I appreciate that, and that has worked well through, that's worked well through the years. But if y'all want to change history, that's fine.
I don't,
that's entirely up to the board.
I don't think that we've not been getting information. I don't think that some things we've asked for yet that we don't know. I know that's my case, just like that I asked earlier today.
Well, again, some workshops. So, and I guess those of us that are up here working with it on a daily basis, we just take for granted that, we know it, and we think, okay, somebody coming on as a board member, they're going to know this. If they don't know, they're going to come in and, they're going to come in and ask.
Well, it'd take
either
me,
before they're elected to the board or shortly thereafter.
Right, it'd take me 8 hours a day for the next month down here to figure out the questions I've got over what's going on. And I do agree, we need a bunch of workshops desperately, so we can sit here and decide what all these things are and get it sorted out. Because we are responsible, all of us, membership and everybody, for making the fort what we want it to be.
Yes, sir.
So, yeah, the workshops, I think that we just need to send one person down there to talk to the management about what's going on, not all of us be down there all the time. And I think we need a bunch of workshops to find out what's going on.
And it can rotate too.
This is
Right.
all very good information, and that's what the purpose of setting workshops are, to question what questions we have. And there may be times we want to bring in some more employees, but that's something we've got to work through so we understand.
Yes.
I do know that 3 of us have been elected for 3 years. So here's a chance maybe things will work out and it'll be benefit for everybody on this fort. Maybe we can be a benefit to y'all, and I know y'all can sure be a benefit to us. But that was the whole purpose of starting the workshops back up. I've been on the board 1 full year, and I've never attended a workshop. They've never had a workshop this past year. I think they done away with them the year before that previously. I don't know when they done away with them. But we're trying to be open, put all the business out there so you know as much information that you need to know. But there are going to be times, guys, that the 5 of us are going to have to meet, and it's just going to be a waste of your time if you want to come up here and say it. I know I've heard, well, y'all need to hurry up. The people out there are getting restless. Well, I don't want to go into an executive session and hurry and not talk about half the stuff we needed to talk about because y'all are getting restless out here. And it's not that it's intentionally done. There's just a lot of questions when things come up, and you cannot just rush through them because somebody's getting upset they want to go eat lunch. I want to go eat lunch too. So we try to get through those sessions as quick as we can. But if we go in there half-cocked and half ready to answer the questions, we're not doing anybody any favors by rushing through them. So I know there's this misconception that you have all these secret meetings. I think we had 3 executive sessions last year that the board didn't come to. And they were decisions with the business that had to be made. And there was really no sense in wasting y'all's time about them. So I don't know where all the secret meeting stuff comes from, but I know for a fact last year we probably didn't have 3 meetings that y'all didn't know about. We're trying to do the best we can here. We are wanting to set up some town hall type meetings. I don't know when that'll be just yet, but until we have a better understanding of what's going on, we're not doing y'all any favors by having a town meeting yet. And we have such a big membership that's not here right now, so then they would be missing that whole conversation too. So just bear with us. We are trying to learn. We're trying to do the best for Fort Clark Springs, and let's go on with our agenda now.
Good, and I apologize for taking up so much of the board and the members' time, and I digressed on this, and certainly that perhaps
No, I
should have
think
been
it
done.
was,
but
I think it was
feel-
appropriate.
Thank you, sir.
I would like to ask, could maybe you send us the board of directors, kind of like a weekly email of things that are not just, well, we cut the grass today, but, you know, the fort catches on fire, you know, and some of us might not see that. You know, send us kind of a weekly summation
Sure.
of anything that, you know, how many buildings we rented, what's going on, kind of a little bit, so we don't have to go down there and find something out. You know,
Why don't
kinda-
each one of you put a list together of what you think you would like to know, send them to me, and when I'll go up and we'll discuss all this and try to get that out to you, what you think you want to know.
One question on this membership roll and stuff, you know, my question is, I know we got 350 delinquents members, and we got 8 FRM delinquent members, but in a report I don't see any action taken as far as, do we have anything maybe foreclosing on or anything like that? And I'd like to know that information.
No, sir, the only thing I reported was what I reported in my thing, that there were 3 came up in May that we've already foreclosed on. We don't have anything at this point. It will probably be maybe 3 months before we have something else that's going to be,
Well, I mean, you know,
everything is transpired where we will have
Well,
more.
I mean, what I'm saying is action is in progress. We're not I mean, I realize it's about a 90-day
Yes, sir.
process.
Yes, sir.
But, you know, if we have a
Right.
property that's action in progress,
Mhm.
then it would be nice to know that they are coming up in the future.
Okay, that could
I
be.
believe the lawyer has actually said he doesn't want to do anything till the state of Texas gets their new forms.
That's true.
If we hire him to do the forms, then it's going to cost us a lot of money for these forms for the new foreclosure laws.
No, I'm just.
So, yeah, but we don't know when that's going to happen, so it's going to be hard to say. In 3 months, we're going to foreclose on a
We knew it would be
property.
sometime after June.
Yeah, we knew
So
it was
there's-
going to be after June. Hopefully, it's in June. So we can't really do anything till the state has the forms and the whole thing laid out to what the process is.
And excuse
I mean,
me,
that's the first I've heard we had to have a special form.
Well,
It's new.
it
No, sir.
is new.
this is something that ties in with the changes to the property code, and I think it's been mentioned several times about changes in the property code and what have you, but yeah, we just want to stay within the legal realms of
No, it's not.
the state,
I
if you
agree.
will, the statutes.
There was one other thing in our members' information that in the month of April, we had 9 memberships given back. And to date, that total of memberships that's been given back this year is 67 memberships. So you take the 67 times the 39 or 35 figure, that's money we do not have coming in automatically. Just thought y'all would like to know that figure. Some of the reasons were death, the distance, and other.
These were non-correspondence people, were they?
I don't know what you mean by non-correspondence people.
I mean, they weren't on the dead letter issue that you send out for voting. They weren't on that list, or did they materialize?
Some were. We have some periodically that are current, have been current for years. They, for health, finance, whatever,
I know
both
they
of the
had a
members
few
passed away, the
volunteers.
kids wound up with it, and they have no use for it, so they turn it back. So they're not all ones, some of them are ones that were like, seriously past due, and they choose to just go ahead and give it back, but some of them aren't.
Okay, that answers, thank you.
On an up note, there were 30 transfers done in the month of April. People sold their properties to somebody else. That was a figure of 30. And then they sent out packet informations to 24 new people answering questions about Fort Clark Springs. So that's a positive. Everything's not a negative. We will go on now to our committee and organization reports. Architectural.
We've had several permits come in for fences, carports, replacing roofs, general repairs, one shed.
I would like to say that we have new forms to be filled out for the permit applications. We're working to see how well it's working out. There seems to have been in the past a lot of misunderstanding as what information was required. We feel that the more information you give, the better. We've had to table several permit applications because of lack of information, whether it's materials or whether it's specifications, for instance, on a fence as to the size of the fence posts, how far apart are they, what kind of footings do you have, this type of thing. Also, lack of information as to being in compliance with your setbacks and so on and so forth. A lot of people come in requesting things that they feel they should be able to do because their neighbor was able to do it. Variances are granted on an individual case, and because your neighbor has done something doesn't mean that you will automatically be approved on it. Variances are case by case, depending upon need and situation. But for the most part, those are working out really well, and so I would just advise that anybody who is anticipating doing anything, whether it's bringing in a shed, planting a tree, bring those to the architecture committee before you commence your work, because once you commence the work, you're incurring a fine if you don't have your permit in place ahead of time. So, and we do have some issues with people that are not keeping their properties up. They're looking a lot of junk and grass that is not being mowed, et cetera, et cetera. If you have an issue in your neighborhood, we do have forms at the office. You can come down and fill out a complaint form and bring that into the office. They'll present it to the architecture committee, and from there, the architecture committee will send out letters to those individual property owners and give them a time period to remedy that situation. So we're working on some issues with people that are not putting their trash cans after trash is picked up. They're leaving their trash cans at the curb all week long, and that is in violation of the CC&Rs in almost every unit. So if you're not aware of what your CC&Rs are, and everybody that bought property here on the fort will have gotten a copy of that when they moved in. So look at your CC&Rs and see how they apply to your unit. And those of you who have renters or are renters, the property owner is responsible for any issues that are incurred with that person who is renting.
Thank you. Recreation. No representation. RV park. I think she had to leave. Golf.
They're all playing.
It's going to be hard to do this deal with golf. Preservation.
Well, preservation is sitting on its laurels for the moment because our treasury is almost non-existent. We're waiting for transfer of funds coming across from the festival, and the first amount of money coming across from the impound fund, which everybody voted on this year. Until that happens, we have had to put a stop on all our work.
But on that same note, some of our work we have on the little butcher block building down here. We did spend our last money on that project, and with all this rain, the rain has not gone into the building.
It worked.
It did work, the little drain did work. We also went in and looked at some leakage problems over into the commissary, and we're discussing what needs to be done with that to keep that water, when it rains, it seeps into the floor through, and maybe gutters are the way to go with that. So that is another project we're looking at right now, is to stop that water when it rains for seeping in that way. So we've got several things we're looking at with the preservation, so just like to keep you up to date on where we're with that.
Debbie,
Wait one second.
I just been informed that Recreation is having a potluck, Monday night at 6 o'clock Service Club.
And also, the thing with the flagpole, the big flagpole, that came through the Preservation Committee also, by the way. Because of the rust that had been noticed, that's where we had kind of been looking at that flagpole and the rust, maybe it was getting weakened or something. So that also came through the Preservation Society. Community Council.
Community Council had a busy month because of health issues. Tina Hernandez resigned as president, and lucky me, got the job. Tina is going to continue as first vice president, but due to her husband's health, she can't be there all the time. We did award 2 scholarships to Racketville High School seniors. The awards that we mum on that subject until they award them, so that we don't give away anything in advance. We have also put Community Council, Cavalry Brigade on hiatus for the present time. We've had declining attendance. We have an aging group of volunteers who cannot take on a lot of the projects that we used to do. So until we come up with a new format or a new idea, that organization no longer exists. And I think that's about it.
Recycling.
Okay, recycling, let's see, I believe since the last, we've sent another load. We are trying a new system of Gaylord storage because we've had an ongoing problem with people who want to practice basketball and throw material into the back Gaylord instead of filling the front one first, which results in hours between the 2 of us fishing things out and straightening it out. So now we're stacking Gaylords on that wall so that you only have the front one to work with. We also need to remind everybody that soda bottles that are colored, #1 plastic, I mean green, brown, purple, if they're #1, they go in #1. They do not go in the #2 colored bin. We appreciate everybody's help with that because, again, it's very time consuming to fish them out. And what happens to us when we send a Gaylord that doesn't qualify, the price that's given us is $10 a ton, and that costs money. So we're asking for everybody's help on that. Other than that, we're busier than we've ever been. So this is a good thing.
Thank you. Number 11 on your agenda, discussion, consideration, amendment to rules and regulations, registered sex offenders, second reading. Do I have a motion to do this?
I move that we discuss and read, I move that we discuss and read the sex offender resolution.
I second that motion.
I have a motion and a second to do the second reading of the policy resolution. All in favor? Motion passes. 4 board members voting. Discussion? You want to read it, somebody?
Yeah, read it first.
Fort Clark Springs Association Incorporated Policy Resolution, whatever it'll be when we pass it. Resolution amending the rules and regulations of the Fort Clark Springs Association Incorporated. Be it resolved by the Board of Directors of Fort Clark Springs Association Incorporated that the rules and regulations adopted by the Board of Directors on February 18, 2006 are hereby amended as follows. Section 27, General, add the following paragraph C. Paragraph C is registered sex offenders. Registered sex offenders are not allowed to be in or at any locations where children commonly gather, including but not limited to daycare facilities, playgrounds, teen and youth centers, swim park area, baseball, track fields, tennis, basketball courts, walking trails, or any other area where children might congregate. Additionally, registered sex offenders may not supervise or participate in any program that includes as participants or recipients persons who are 17 years of age or younger, and that regularly provides athletic, civic, or cultural activities. Trespassing charges may be filed or restrictions set for violation of these rules. approved by the Board of Directors acting in regular session on this day of May 2012.
Okay, so I guess this is our second reading, then it will be filed and put in with our declarations.
Do we have to
No, it's already.
approve to pass it, or?
We already did.
No.
Could I ask a quick question?
Yes.
Does this ruling distinguish between pedophiles as opposed to, say, rapists?
No,
I
it's,
mean, you're talking about sex offenders in regards to
Anybody that
children,
has to,
but not in regards
anybody
to-
that has to be registered with the state as a sex offender is what it pertains to.
And will you post that somewhere so that we are aware of who these people are?
we,
As far as who the individuals are, I believe there are three. I assume that could be done. I believe there are three.
I think there's 3 of them on the 4.
Are
And
we,
then 1 or 2 in Bracketville.
are we at liberty to put that on our website, or is that a,
You'd have to look at the.
I mean, is that what you
legal-
were asking, if we could post that they're,
Well, down at the main office or somewhere where it would be available to everybody to know.
I talked to Matt about that,
Uh-huh,
and you've got to look at the state that this was committed in,
uh-huh.
and each state is different. There's a lot of legal ramifications that go in.
But we can give you the website to where you can go in and see what the charges against these individuals are. Matt can give us that, and we can definitely post that, I know. So let us decide the best way to handle this. But I do know that Matt can give us that information to where you can go in there and check what the offense was, how it was committed, if it was a 21-year-old boy with a 16-year-old girl, or if it was really, yes, in each state. So we will definitely figure out the legal implications here and get that done. And we will try to let everybody know when we do that. So that was 4 members voting to accept this new resolution. We will go into item number 12, discussion, consideration, gravel at the RV park.
I'll make a motion that we discuss the gravel at the RV park.
second?
I've got a motion and a second to discuss the gravel at the RV park. All in favor? Motion passes to discuss.
On the, we've definitely got a couple more quotes. One is 20,000 and one is 40,000. And one says mobilization, evacuation, subgrade, 4 crush base, and two courses of chip and seal, grade 3 and 4, rock, HFR-2 hot oil. And basically the other one says mobilization, subgrade, base, prime coat, 2 coats of chip and seal. Same thing except it's worded different. The only thing we don't have is, if you go out there, they're saying evacuation and subgrade, and we're not trying to hold this process up, is if you go out to the RV park, and I think Shirley will agree with it, when it rains, you get a lot of pooling of water out there. And we don't see a mechanical drawing showing where or how they're going to get this water away from the sites. Plus they're talking about putting down chip and seal, and they don't, it doesn't, nowhere does it say how they're going to treat the power boxes and stuff like that, and the sewer lines and stuff. And so these 2 companies that put the bids in, you know, and Bob should work out a mechanical drawing so that we can understand what's going to be done and hold them to them specifications. We got no problem with doing it. We just want to, you know, we don't want to buy a pig in the poke, so to speak. Anything else, Ray?
Well,
Yeah,
also,
there's also, oh, go ahead.
the only thing I was going to say, before we can have this done, we've got some RVs out there that's right in the same spot that needs to be worked on. Yes, Shirley?
Those people were notified that if they do this, they will move their rigs across the street, and there's no problem there.
So we've got somebody that can move them for us?
So I can have them moved. They agreed to that when they parked there.
Okay.
And when you finish this, could I give my report? I'm sorry I had to leave.
Oh, yes. Roby, you still had something here?
Well, there's the 9 or however many sites on back, they've got, both of them got, one of them's got 12,896 square feet, the other one's got 11,470 square feet. So they're both talking about close to the same amount of square footage. However, I don't know where that square footage is. I guess it's where we want it, but it doesn't say where it is. I don't know how they're gonna ditch the back, you know, they need to put a drainage ditch in there and drain it to somewhere. It's down there toward the back of Unit 38 into that draw somehow. But I don't know how far they're gonna go, if they're just gonna go down there and leave it lie, or if they're gonna put a ditch in there with a maintainer, or what they're gonna do. And then if you go, would be on the southeast side, I guess the part that goes back toward the road. The top of that hill, there's, I don't know who that lady is that's been in there for a couple of years beside the surveyors. Her spot is really wet. The water gets really deep in there, and it looks like the water is wanting to run from that corner on around that phone pole underneath that RV that's parked there with the canvas on it and run down there. So that drainage needs to kind of be addressed a little bit at the same time, whether it's going to come back to behind the RV park or go down the other way. Those people that got those RVs in there now are getting flooded pretty good every time it rains, and the water just kind of lays there. So I don't know if that was discussed in this or not, but we don't want to start in with a ditch and then not have no place to the other one to tie into, or have it asphalted over. We're going to have some sort of drawing. Bob's going to have to put something together, or we're going to have to go out there and do it, or
No.
we need to do something so we know what's being done and how they're going to control all these other questions.
You need it from the company. You need to go back to the company and have them come forward with a drawing so we can see exactly where the work is going to be done and how it's going to be performed. As Garland said, I have no problem with having the work done. I just want to see what's going to be done. And I can't tell that from this.
I have a hand in the audience.
Yes, sir.
Why isn't the architectural committee involved in this? Shouldn't they be involved in this?
No.
No, the architectural committee is just kind of a looks type program. I mean, they're not supposed to read chapter and verse on how to design things.
They do when you go in there for a permit.
Well, we're working on addressing that.
That's because you're asking for something from your lot.
Janelle?
Yeah, the architectural committee only deals with individual
Right.
lots within the units, not, but yeah, they want to, like if the association's going to be doing some work, yeah, they want to approve that just so there's something in the file, and we've got files for all the buildings and so forth, but as far as something like this, it would not be something the committee would be involved in, I wouldn't think.
Mr. Ebert?
I'm thinking that if eventually you want to do something with all the lots, and I'm thinking you should take a look at the water drainage problem for everything before you start doing just a part of it. Because if you do something in the back and then suddenly you try to do something on the east side, and you've already invested money, that's not going to work. So I think drainage is your number one problem. If you get the drainage resolved for that whole area, then go ahead and start graveling the parts.
That's correct. That's what I was trying to explain before.
And that's what we're doing. We've got 2 bids. So what we're trying to do is figure out a solution to a problem is what we're trying to do. We just don't want to go out there and satisfy the people in the RV park and say, let's buy this gravel. This is our cheapest bid. What we're trying to do is look at the real problem before we spend your money on something that in 2 years from now is just going to sink right back down into the ground. So that's what we're trying to do here, is trying to find a solution to a bigger problem, not just a quick fix for complaints.
And if you notice in the bid, we're talking about chip and seal, so that's going to be better than gravel.
Mr. Giblin?
Did those bids include raising the utilities?
No, it doesn't
They
appear
don't
to
show
be.
that on
Don't
there.
show nothing, that's the reason we have
That's the
questions
reason
about
we're
it.
having this discussion, because you're not looking at all the full problems of what's out there. The bids are strictly on a quick fix, and that's not what we need. We need to look at the real problem. So I would think we would probably need to table this for further investigation and talk more with the contractors. That's my personal opinion.
Well,
Go ahead, Bill.
and you're right, on the utilities out there, the sewer and the electricity, they didn't address any of that, how they're either going to raise up or...
That could cost as much as the gravel. When they gave you the bid, did they come out there and look at the place at all?
I don't know that. I have no idea. We had no drawing, and Roby and I discussed it, And it didn't tell, you know, we got a price, but we got nothing saying.
They were just going by square footage.
Square footage and stuff.
They'll bury those cleanouts and never find it.
Well, that's right, you know, so what we need, and my motion would be, is to get a hold of the two companies. I make a motion, we get a hold of the two companies that submitted the bids and have them come out and give us a mechanical drawing or schematics as to what they're actually going to do, how they're going to address the drainage problem, how they're going to address the utility problems, because it'll be up. And we put this on for next month's agenda. I don't think we'll get this done overnight.
Yes, Mr.
Is
Wright.
it going to be gravel or?
It's going to be chip and
asphalt?
seal. Chip and seal is
That's asphalt.
that's
isn't it?
right. You know,
You ought to change the terminology.
well, we didn't submit the bids.
Well, I guess one thing, you're wanting to make a new proposal there, but what I would suggest is maybe one of the board members go along
That's what I was gonna suggest too.
and then bring back the rest of the, you set in when you talk to these contractors, one person, then bring the information back to the board.
Well, can
so
I-
that we can all understand it.
Can I make a suggestion that Mr. Robertson do that, because he's got more experience in major construction than I do, or anybody else sitting on this board?
Would you take that on?
Yeah, what did Bob talk to him about when he went out there with them? Did he give them?
The utilities were addressed. That's the reason for the cost being high. It's going to be very labor intensive. Now, I don't know if we'll be able to get some kind of mechanical engineering drawings from them or not. They gave us, we practically had to beg it as a courtesy. They are busy. All the construction companies are busy down south now. But we've worked with both of these before. They did agree to come and take a look at it. They were on site. They measured. They know that the utilities is something that the pedestals and what have you that have to be dealt with. They know also about the drainage. They didn't put it all down in here, but now as far as getting an actual engineering type drawing from them, I doubt very seriously if we'll be able to do it. Maybe we will if Mr. Roberson meets with them. I don't know. As a courtesy, they gave us this. They both said they didn't want the job, but they would give us a bid and would squeeze it in. Another one from
If I was
Uvalde.
their contractor, I would not supply a drawing.
No, sir. That's
What?
you can.
You're liable for it.
Exactly.
They're not an engineer, and if something goes wrong, then they're liable for it because they're not engineers. And they have to hire an engineer to produce a drawing, so that
And
would
then
add
that
to the
kicks,
cost.
that's gonna kick your cost on up. Now, something they would be doing would be shooting elevations as far as the drainage. They realize, obviously, that's why we're doing the work, because of a drainage problem.
Right, we should probably, the fort should probably sketch up something that we want done and make sure that they're gonna do what we want done. What do you, Steve, have you got any, or anybody in the audience got a?
Mr. Giblin had your hand up a while ago.
No, man,
Oh.
it's just, it's not that complicated a thing. You can't just, throw that gravel, and they know that too.
They know-
You can't just bury the
They know that.
clean out. So
Right.
just tell them what you want and what's the price to get this done the way we want it, and I don't like the idea of them coming here thinking they're doing us a favor with a rush job. You're gonna get a rush job looking thing. If that's,
But you-
there's gotta be more than two people. in
You've
this
you've
part
just
of the
got
world.
you've just got so many people to go to that does. And now another one that came and looked at it, have not gotten a price yet from them, was Fagley out of Uvalde. But
He was working up a price for it, I know, because I know that he was looking for rock. So,
yeah, because
Well,
they
here
talked,
again, would you be
talked
willing to
later.
meet with these people and explain more and then bring the stuff back to somebody, or should we call Bob Walker in to meet with us and give us more of what
well,
he's talking
I think
about?
Bob should be involved in it, and I'll go along if that doesn't break anybody's rice bowl.
I just have a question.
Yes.
When y'all put these out for bids, did we not give them requirements about the drainage and everything and,
I don't know. We didn't.
utilities and the sewer? We can give those requirements and we put it out for.
We were supposed to, that was my understanding that Bob was gonna tell them that. I don't know what happened.
We should have been in writing, you know what I'm saying? If we do anything.
Everything has to be in writing.
That's what I assumed was gonna happen, however, I don't know if it did or not.
And in their bid, can't they not say, including raising up the utilities and whatever?
Right, because if it's not included, if it's not written down, it may not be included.
But when you go to raising utilities, then you gotta bring in electricians, plumbers. These people don't do that type of thing. So that's something, if we're gonna have to raise them according to what's there, then we're gonna have to hire an electrician. We're gonna have to hire a plumber. We're gonna have to hire the
Damn costly.
the TV, the cable type thing. So it's not just this work that we're looking at, it's how much are they gonna have to be raised? Can we go around
Can we
the
box around
spots?
them? or-
Yeah, that's more question than these bids have been given. Because these guys are not electricians and
No,
plumbers
they're
and stuff.
pavers.
So it's more involved than just the pavers.
And-
So I've got a motion and I've got a second to let Roby Roberson meet with Bob Walker and talk to these guys or get information from Walker and bring this up at the next board meeting.
Well, I noticed on this one quote, the quote is only good for 30 days. And I would assume that's holds true with the other quote too.
That's kind of a normal thing.
So we should get it done before 30 days. You think we should have a different type of amendment, or?
No, the 30 days is something everybody puts down there just because they don't know what their workload is and what's going to happen. I mean, they're not going to guarantee, asphalt may go up or down or.
Yeah.
So once again, I've got a motion and a second. All in favor of appointing Roby Roberson to get with Bob Walker to get more information and perhaps meet with both of these guys on what needs to be done. All in favor? Motion passes with 4 members voting. Item number 13.
Item number 13 is the handicap.
Discussions, consideration, rear bathrooms at RV park.
Whoops. Well, we don't have it. Okay. Item number 13 is the rear bathrooms that are considered or that we want to make ADA compatible. Roby and I discussed this prior to the meeting. We can't just say we're going to do it. And I talked to Steve prior to this meeting, if he would give us the specs on the bathroom that he inspected out there prior to him stepping down from the board, and Steve Gillen agreed. And I would like to make a motion that we take his specs and go out and find out how much it's going to cost to get that type of a bathroom done. There's some other issues that'll play into this, depending on how much it costs to do that bathroom and make it one handicap ADA approved bathroom. If it's going to be real expensive, and I know it's not on the agenda, but we talked about we may have to talk about putting a new building out there and putting the bathrooms inside the building and taking the money that would go to that ADA bathroom and get a decent office, recreation area and stuff like that at the RV park. It's not on the agenda now, but I'm just throwing that in conversation. Right now, I would like to make a motion that we take Steve's specs for the ADA bathroom at the RV park and get a bid on how much it would cost to bring that bathroom up to those specs, and then make a decision from there. That's my motion.
How much of Molina's money was supposed to cover some of that? He's already got $7,500 out of $15,000 contract.
How much was that? That wasn't.
Yep. When you go back and look at the original, which I did not bring that folder.
I think the total was $7,900, I believe.
But here's the thing, in his contract, and I read both of them, almost 75, the other was about 15,000. He kept saying, bringing it up to ADA code. He didn't have a
clue
what ADA code was. he couldn't have done it for that much. You can't do everything he's doing for that much. That's why he probably never finished the thing, because he saw he was in over his head. But I swear it said on there, to bring up the ADA compliance, and none of it was done. It can't be done with what you got there. Now, you can't make two separate ADAs. There's not enough room.
Right, you had to make one.
Do it. You just can't physically do it. And the only specs I wrote up, I just wrote up the requirements as best I remember them from.
Well,
when I
that's
retired
more
2
than,
years ago. They may have changed.
Well, really,
It would be easy to get the specs online.
We have not made the motion in a second to even be discussing this.
I'll make a motion that we discuss
We
this.
got a motion
bathroom.
on, we got a
We
motion
got
on
a
the
motion
floor.
on the floor, but we've never,
I second the motion.
now we have a motion and a second. All in favor of discussing the ADA bathroom? Motion passes. Okay, now we're legal.
All right, and Steve is totally right. I think I remember, now that you mentioned it, I don't have it in front of me, that he did say he was gonna bring it up to codes, and I think, if I remember right, and Lee, you should be able to verify this, whether we paid him half up front or not. Does anybody know that here?
What we did with that, to answer your question, was that was put on hold by Ron when he was here. It was discussed and it was put on hold, not to do that bathroom.
Well, I saw a copy of his check, so I know he got half of it.
Yeah, but it wasn't for that bathroom. So, anyway,
I have a copy of it.
You got it with you?
yeah, that's fine, but I know it was put on hold. And thinking along the lines of what you're talking about right now, it's gonna cost a good piece of change to do that. A lot more than what we originally had, because, if you take away one bathroom to make one, take two away to make one, then you're down a bathroom, okay? But what you just said a moment ago about putting in a larger place so that we get the other one back, now your money's going up even higher.
Yep, but
I would suggest that we just leave it
But
where
had-
it is,
Wait.
and not do it, because we have a bathroom that has a ramp up to it on the main office.
yeah, but that bathroom is not ADA approved, I don't.
But
and
if you don't remodel the bathroom, you don't have to do that unless you actually remodel. Unless those rules have changed.
All we're doing is rolling the dice and hope we don't get sued.
Well, under
I'm
my
sorry. I mean, that-
understanding, unless you
I mean, that's
actually
the
work
way it
on it,
is.
you don't have to do it.
It depends on when that bathroom was made
Here's
and
the
what.
ADA standards from the state of Texas.
That's exactly what it says.
It's in there somewhere. Yes, sir, it is. Unless you actually start remodeling the bathrooms.
They've already
Not
remodeled.
that back bathroom. We haven't touched the back bathroom.
They
that
put
they're gonna
new
make
showers in
ADA
there.
standards.
They put new showers in there, didn't they?
No, they didn't.
Shirley, you got something
Roll the
to say
dice.
there?
Bathrooms out back, it's already public bathrooms.
Yes.
Were remodeled last year.
I rest my case.
The volunteers paid for the equipment for new commodes, new sinks, and new showers, and they were put in last year.
So they were remodeled, so then that takes that off the floor. All I'm saying, I'm not saying to go ahead and get a bid and do it. What I'm saying is to find out how much it costs, and then look at the office building that we're using now that's got ramps and stuff going up to it, see how much that costs, and it may be cheaper in the long run to have a new building. We got one building that's got a crack in it that's threatening to fall down on its haunches, so to speak, and if we don't do something pretty soon, we're going to walk up there and see Shirley sitting at her desk on the ground. We got to find out, before we do anything, we got to find out the prices, and then we can make logical decisions, and then we can see how to finance it or stuff like that. I'm not saying we make a motion to do it. I'm saying we need to get bids, and we need to find out how much it would cost to build a new building, and then that way we can move forward with the proper decision.
Well, I don't have a problem getting bids, but there is another issue, a bigger standing issue, when Mr. Giblin went out there the two 40-gallon electric water heaters, have those ever been bought before they blow up on us?
I thought we was gonna buy new ones.
Were they ever replaced, Shirley? Janelle?
They haven't been replaced. No.
Those ones you and I looked at, they were leaking water.
They're still just like they were when you were there.
Can
Yeah,
we
that
get
needs to be
something done with those two water heaters before we have a bigger problem than?
Then we
Yes.
got now.
And also, what has ever been done to that cavity, that hole underneath that building? Has it ever been patched, or has anything been done with it where you see daylight through the, nothing's been done with that either?
And Shirley, I'd like to ask you, what about, when we had a meeting with the RV committee, they agreed to buy the parts so they could vent the dryers out the wall instead of down underneath. Has that ever been done?
The parts are in the storeroom,
But,
and we were waiting for the winter Texans to leave, and they have gone now, so.
so we can start on that.
They did buy all the parts, and their parts are in the storeroom.
Just
I think we're gonna act on this one, right, first.
Okay, so back to
Back
to
the-
getting a bid on what it would cost to do those bathrooms at the very back, nothing else, just get a bid. I have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second to get the bid? I've got a
Second.
motion and a second to get a bid, on an ADA compliant unisex bathroom at the RV park. All in favor?
Do you,
I just ask only that you get a plumbing contractor to do it,
Not a-
Get Casey out of Uvalde, somebody that knows what the current
Yes,
specs are.
make that with a valid licensed plumber.
Casey, it's gonna be high.
So do you want to modify your bid, your motion to read that?
I make a motion that we get a certified plumbing contractor to give us a bid on upgrading the ADA bathroom at the RV park.
second?
I've got a motion and a second to get a licensed plumber to give us a bid on an ADA bathroom at the RV park. All in favor? 4 members voting to get a bid on the ADA bathroom at the RV park.
I would like to make a motion, oh, go ahead.
I just have a question. The last two items, 12 and 13, we discussed here, were these considered during your budget meeting when, at least we're talking about a lot of expense here,
You are.
and we're just taking money and say, okay, we'll spend it here and spend it there? Was this considered when we?
No, that's.
We're just getting bids right now. We're
We're-
not spending anything. We're just trying to get the bids to make a decision if we can afford to do it or how we can go about doing it.
And we would like to have them for our budget so that we can decide, if we can't do them this year, we can put it in there for next year, or we can appropriate money for it somewhere, as opposed to just blindly spending it.
$6,000 short last year, and it seemed like we start projects like
No.
this, we're gonna end up at the same.
We didn't say we were gonna start it, we got.
We know we've got an issue, and we're trying to figure out a cost so we can actually try to put it in our budget or what we need to do. But if we can't bring our RV park up to where people can get in and out of it, then right now we've got people coming in and they can't get in and out. So we know we've got a problem. So we're trying to get bids on where we need to go with trying to get it corrected on the RV park. Same thing with this bathroom. We're just trying to get a cost. I know we're short of money. We're trying to recover from a $283,000 loss. But if it's things that we're going to have to comply with, we're going to have to put it in a budget and try to figure out how to pay for it. Mr. Ebert?
Garland touched lately on you're getting bids now to repair an old bathroom. I'd like to suggest you also get bids in building a brand new one. So you
That
can
was put in there.
So you can compare the two. Sometimes fixing something old is
And-
more expensive than building something new, and you still have something old, so
And-
take a look at both.
And I totally agree with you on that, Dick. If we build a new one, then we want to do the building itself, the office building itself, and that's the reason, it's not on the agenda to build a new office building, but we need the price of the old bathroom, repairing that, and then we can always get a price to build a new building and figure that out and figure which way is the most economical way to go. it's gonna cost us money any way we look at it. But right now, since that bathroom has been remodeled, we're just rolling the dice if we don't do something. And I'll guarantee you, if we get sued for an ADA bathroom, we ain't gonna walk away happy.
Okay, so we have voted to get that quotes. And I've also asked Janelle to be sure and check on the building, the daylight you can see through there, what we've done with that, and also to see about getting the 2 new water heaters. So, moving on to item number 14.
Who's gonna put the new water heaters in, maintenance?
Should be able
Yeah,
to put the hot water heaters.
They're
in.
electric, so
That's not that difficult.
I hope that's in there.
Okay,
ask them please to make sure they got water in them before they turn electricity on. I've seen 40, I know plumbers forget it all the time, they'll fry it in a second.
Okay.
But don't you agree though, guys, that if we ever get into the advertising we've been talking about, that we want that RV park to be attractive when people do come through the gates?
Sure.
I want the whole, right,
Yeah.
the whole fort needs to be attractive.
And that money we're talking about, are we not gonna get it back many times over with an attractive place for it?
I fully agree.
Yeah.
That's what we talked about it different, you know, I would like to see a new building, a new facility at the RV park with a commercial kitchen in it, with meeting areas in it that service the needs of everything, you know, and we could get rid of the older buildings we've got and put up a nice project that's kind of maybe closer to that canopy out there, so it could be used, you know, when you're cooking or something, you could have inside, outside. That's something that we can't do this year. I don't have it, you know, but we need to kind of explore the cost of what that's going to be and maybe decide how to do it in the future. And the RV park drainage needs to be fixed on both sides, just not the back. Everywhere's around there. Because on the cup right there at that corner, when you go in there, water, I was up there wading around through the mud the other day when it was raining, trying to figure out where the water would go and what would be the best for it. And there's a lot of water there that needs to be handled. You know, it doesn't rain often here, but sometimes you'd sell tickets when it does. And we need to have all those drainage issues handled.
And I think we can, you know, there's money that we can stick our hands into, and then we just have to put it back. And so we got to, you know, it's kind of like the government. We'll take from one pot and put to the other one. You know, there's certain monies we got coming in that we need to look at to see which would be the most financial, physical.
We do need to move on, but here again, these are things and these are concerns from the membership. We're looking at them. Once again, we're going to have to prioritize what we need to do. You've got to have the documentation and stuff you need to prioritize. So when you're trying to pick up from a deficit year, we have to really watch what kind of monies we're spending, so we need to pick the highest priorities when we start picking, but at least we've got our documentation to do that. Item number 14, discussion, consideration, request from the golf committee.
I make a motion that we discuss this consideration for the golf committee, and I would ask that Debbie, since you're sitting on the golf committee, that you would give us a briefing.
I'd second the motion.
I got a motion and a second to discuss this drawing and information from the golf committee. All in favor? Motion passes, 4 people voting. What it pertains to is the golf committee, who is a board-appointed committee, has gone out here on hole number 10, which is the one, if you're going to the golf course, it's the one on the left-hand side. That's number 10, green and fairway. It's the one that does not grow a whole lot of grass. They've tried several things. They've reseeded, they've put fertilizers, they've put weed killers and a lot of stuff on this. So what they're wanting to do is make it more like a desert course. It would have designated green areas, then it would have like native plants that would be kept up. And I understand that most of the fees are going to come from the men's club and the ladies club to do this project.
Oh.
Mr. Ebert, you're on this more than I am. Why don't you discuss all this?
I'm not on the golf committee, and I'm no longer a officer in the men's club, but I was instrumental in trying to put this together. the plan really is to try and guarantee water to the improvements that we make. And before I left my office, we did approve $5,000, which is available for spending this summer at the discretion of the officers in the men's club. And the compost project was started as a project to create a soil we can mix in with the existing dirt that's out there. They've done tests on the dirt out there, and that can be tilled. And hopefully with the compost added to it, and grass seed, and the proper amount of water, and that's the key of water. It's got to get water, that's the important word. Without that, nothing happens. But if we have adequate rain or we have water available, we can try to create something that looks good when you're arriving at the golf course. Right now, if I was an avid golfer and this was going to be a stop and I drive by that, particularly before we have the rain, I think I'd keep on driving. And now what we have out there is still mostly mud. And in other cases, we have just weeds. But this is the first step in that project. And I think we will probably need manpower from the fort, but otherwise, as far as dollar outlays, there should be none.
But Dick, I only have one question, and I noticed that they're moving the women's tee box up, or plan on moving, and you had forward tee and trawler.
Forward tee box, that's for old men too.
Well, what I'm saying, well, I'm getting there. What I'm saying is, did the golf committee check into how that would change the rating of the course?
My understanding on that question, they're leaving the regular ladies' tee box down for your USGA Gin Association. This is just more or less for the walkers that can't hit so far, or the older men. But as far as when you're playing and you want to put your USGA Gin and stuff in there to keep your rate of play, that you will still use the regular tee boxes down there. This is just a convenience thing for, yes.
We call it a forward tee box.
So as far as your rating, it would not change the actual rating of the course. That would not. Now that's what I've been explained.
Any other questions? Try to answer. One hole? One hole to start with. Hopefully, as this thing progresses, if we're successful, then we'll come back with probably hole number 1, which would be the next obvious hole that needs a lot of work. For those of you that do golf, number 5 was done a number of years ago, and that was a project that was done with applying weed killer and then putting fertilizer and grass seed down, and with the exception of last summer, that's one of the nicest holes as far as grass that we have in the golf course now. So these things can be done, but we got to do it one step at a time.
Okay, the other question I had, you got the little pink dots, it says non-irrigated. It's going to be in the natural area?
The natural area may become buffalo grass. We're not sure which is a very, very hardy
grass.
It'll be, right, it'll be probably some type of grass. But once again, if we get into a drought situation, we'll just stop watering it.
Well, the reason I ask, because if it's non-irrigated and there's no type of grass there, then the only thing you got taken over is mesquites.
There's irrigation available, we'll just shut it off.
Okay.
There's existing irrigation, but those ones right off the tube will be shut down. We're used during spring.
Okay, the other question I had was, is there one drawing I looked, they was talking about removing trees. Has that been changed, or?
The trees have not been removed, they've been trimmed underneath, so that when you hit a ball along the far edge, you can actually play it. Now, before you had to pull it out from underneath the branches, and that's just golf course maintenance.
Well, I mean, now we got
trees are not coming out.
No,
yeah,
the trees will not come out.
I mean, now we got tree limbs laying there that haven't been picked up after being trimmed.
That's a maintenance problem.
I know. Okay, that answers all my questions.
Ralph, you got anything on this? You're a golfer.
No, I don't have anything to add.
So I guess what we need to do is either accept or deny this proposed work.
Do we need a motion to that effect?
Yeah.
I move that we accept their recommendations and help them out with whatever we need to from the fort.
And I'll second that motion since all my questions have been answered.
I've got a motion and a second to accept the golf committee's proposal on hole number 10. All in favor? Motion passes. 4 members voting. Discussion, consideration, request for a meeting with the Assisted Living Committee.
I move that we discuss and consider the request for the meeting with the Assisted Living Committee. I mean, we're gonna have a meeting with them, or they're here now, or?
They're asking for a meeting with them. It was my understanding that well, I gotta make sure we can discuss this first. I got a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I've got a motion and a second. All in favor? Okay.
Discussion.
Discussion. Yes, Mr. White.
We weren't aware that this requested had come into the committee. But we do want to have a meeting with the board. But we thought it might be advisable to have a meeting to work out details, at least with the general manager first. And then take that to the board later.
No.
It's up to you.
Uh,
If you want to do it.
The only thing I was told is y'all requested a meeting with the board.
We weren't aware of that.
Well,
Mr. Dillon had asked to have a meeting with the board.
and being sitting on the board for 2 years, and this matter being addressed prior to me coming on the board, and with information that's been passed throughout the community that at one time this was a done deal, I have a hard time even addressing it, because at one time they wanted 9 acres, and they went to 17 acres. They wanted at least for $1 a year. I'm not in favor of leasing any land. They were talking about putting a $15 million complex on there, and if the building or the Morning Star Ministry goes under, which it may not go under, but if that nursing or that assisted living may go under, the membership will be stuck with all the taxes that are associated with it.
You'd be stuck with $1 million building.
Well, and you know, I mean, they throw different scenarios since I've been on the board at it, and it's basically it wasn't approved, and it's being kept dragging up, and I know there's a few people here that want assisted living, and I'm getting it to the age where I may or may not need assisted living, but for the benefit of the people and the financial responsibilities that I have to the whole membership, I have a hard time backing this program, and I'll say that to anybody or everybody. We'll give you guys a chance to meet with us, but and that's all I would be willing to do today, because I voted against it the first time it was brought up, and depending on the way it was brought up this time, I'll probably vote against it again. I checked out how much it would cost for commercial property in Del Rio. We come back the first time, and we set a price and didn't want to do it. I look at the Morning Star Ministry, and they want everybody to put money in and build a $15 million complex, and they're not putting a penny in it. The only thing they're doing is hooking up a vacuum cleaner and sucking off the profits. And that's my opinion, and I'll stick to it. But we'll give you a meeting.
Can I say something else?
Yes, go right ahead.
Okay, we have conducted a survey. University of Texas from San Antonio, professor there, conducted a survey. And would you read that?
Sure.
The results of that survey?
I
please?
just had I'm Helena McBride, I'm also part of the committee. Dr. Joel Seeger, professor of marketing, conducted a survey. We sent out 1,000 people questionnaire regarding their interests in assisted living facilities. who are 55 years of age and older to 8 counties. We sent 1,000 to 1,000 people in Kinney County and the surrounding 7 other counties. And the summary says, responses to several items in this survey indicate a positive interest in an assisted living facility in the relatively near future. Let's see, 1/3 of individuals responding indicated likelihood of moving to a facility in the next 2 to 5 years. Results suggest that a facility that is near family, has activities with other seniors, and costs as low as $2,300 per month would likely be given consideration by area seniors. And that seems a lot more positive than what was expressed here.
How many of those actually went to Fort Clark members?
I don't know those details yet, but I'll have them.
How many of y'all got one of these surveys?
I did not.
I did not. I did not. You did get one?
Yeah, I mean, you can survey and get surveys,
One thing I look at with this here, we are in a tax lawsuit right now because an individual tried to make money off of Fort Clark. It raised our taxes. Who's trying to make money off of this project, and where would that put us with another liability lawsuit? That's my thoughts. That's all I know. But my personal feelings on this, I don't think 5 members of a board has the right to make a decision on this, that it should go to the membership, whether it's a lease, whether it's buying the land. To me, that should be the membership, and I believe that should be the assisted living's cost to send that out, just like a ballot was sent out. We have certain people in here seeing what's going in those envelopes, and it should go to our membership at y'all's cost. That's my thoughts.
And it should go out as pros
But
and
I don't
cons.
mind having a meeting. I think if we need a meeting, because I was defamed in making a statement that I did not want to have a meeting, when my comment to that was, with the board that we had less than 3 months to be on this board, I didn't think that meeting needed to happen with somebody with just 3 months left on a board. That was my only position, and that was told. Then I was defamed because I said this, that I didn't want to have a meeting because I was against it.
I never heard that.
Well, I've got a letter that's got your name on it, that it was sent to you.
No way.
I've got an email to who it all was sent to.
I'd like to see that, because I have no recollection of anything like that. The other thing that I wanted to ask was, what was if you're going to use a prior tax, some case that you just mentioned, maybe we need to know about that just so we can try to defend the idea of having the request.
There's a lot of other things that come in, except as the declaratory instruments and stuff like that. We tried to explain that the first time it was presented when I was on the board. According to the declaratory instruments, we're supposed to have 1,600 acres for recreational purposes. And if you set today and add up every bit of acreage that we got, we're 1 acre under the 1,600 acres. That was explained. It's kind of like, you want to ignore the fact, to build this, we would have to give up 17 acres. All right? And I'm sorry, I agree with Debbie that it should be put up to a vote of the membership, and all the pros and the cons should be in that vote. But, and the discussion, from the way it was presented to me as a board member the first time, I was against it then, and, depending on whether you've changed your attitude or how the money is being raised and stuff like this, I'd probably vote against it this time.
I guess all we need to do right now, do we want to meet with that assisted living?
I'll make a motion that we meet with assisted living and discuss this and decide what we want to do then.
I'll second.
I got a motion and a second to meet with the assisted living committee. All in favor? I've got 4 members voting. I've got a couple more hands in the
Wasn't there a similar operation to this in Camp Wood? And what happened to that? Now I understand they're bankrupt.
They are, and
They are.
and if you look at, and if you go over to Uvalde and look at the assisted living over there run by the same ministry, it's been open for 4 years now, I think, and they're still not full. You can do surveys, and the people that you're paying to do the survey is going to do it, and
Okay, we have a motion, and it has been voted on that we will set up a meeting. We will set up a meeting with them to see what their proposal is. And I guess what you would need to do, Janelle, is get with them, see when a good time for them would be, and then if it corresponds, then we'll set a date.
And this will have to be like a special meeting?
It would have to be like,
Workshop or?
a workshop.
it'd be more like a workshop strictly with that individual group.
Right. But it'd still be called as like a special meeting,
This is one of
workshop
those
like we did
cases where I
before.
think that we really don't have to put the 72-hour notice out there, because all we're doing is discussing to bring back to the membership that we need the information to bring back to the membership. So I don't know how you want to handle it with this Open Meetings Act.
Don't throw me under the bus.
I'm saying, I don't know how we want to handle it, but
I think the membership needs to be involved in the meeting. They can ask questions as well.
not until you know what the proposal is, then you bring the membership into play. After you know the proposal, then yes.
Yes, that's what you do. You're gonna find out what they wanna propose. That's all you're gonna do.
That's all we're going to do. We're not going to make a decision. The
Then
decision
you-
comes back to the membership
Exactly. Then
of
you're
how
gonna
we
find
handle
out.
it.
Or-
But we're going to have to meet with them to find out what their proposal
And,
is.
and if we don't agree with their proposal, then it doesn't go to the membership. Am I right?
There we go. So everybody knows, we are planning to meet with them. We will let you know the date of the meeting, but then when the meeting is called, then I really don't want to waste everybody's time until we can bring it back to you as their proposal. Okay?
Okay.
Okay. Was there any other,
I was signed up to speak on this subject really quickly. Would you like me to just say what I have to say now, or do you want to come back to me during the 15 minutes?
No.
let's come back to the 15-minute. We're so far behind, we got so much to discuss. All right, item number
16.
17. Oh, 16. Discussion, consideration, appointment, architectural committee members. Well, I've got 16, 17, 18, 19, 19. One of them is the architectural committee. This is appointments to these committees. I guess I need a motion to discuss first.
I'll make a motion that we discuss items 16, 17, 18, and 19 all at one time instead of individually, because all we're doing is appointing members to these committees, and we got their names, and that's my motion.
That's a different thing.
I'll second that.
All right, I got a motion and a second to discuss 16, 17, 18, and 19. All in favor? 4 members voting to discuss 16, 17, 18, and 19. And what these are board-appointed committees. And when we had our workshop the other day, a question was asked about committees. Last year, I had asked Janelle for some information on committees because there was a big squabble about committee responsibilities. And she had made this packet for me. What I would really like to do before we do these appointments is have her make these copies and give them to each one of y'all so we can discuss the responsibilities. Well, you've got them in your packet, but we haven't had time to read that packet yet either. So before we just go out there and appoint somebody else to a committee, whether they want to be on this committee or not be on this committee, I think the board needs a little more education on committee responsibilities. And that's the only thing I wanted to say before we go out here and appoint people to committees. I think we need to know what we're appointing them to and where the board's position on overseeing these committees lies.
Well, I agree with that as well, because we just got this paper here this morning, as opposed to the rest of our information we got Wednesday. And I haven't really had a chance to look over it yet. I don't know one thing or another about it, so I agree with what Debbie said.
Well, the only thing I would have to comment on, especially on the architecture committee, is you got 1, 2, 3, 4 people, or 2 people declining to serve another term, 2 people agreeing to, and then we got 3 vacancies. And I sat on that committee for a year, I think a year and 3 months or something like that, and sometimes it's pretty hard to have a quorum. And so if you don't have a quorum to address architectural issues as to what the members want to do at their house, we're doing a disservice to them. And so I think, the architectural committee has basically asked the people if they would be willing to serve. And
I know Mr. Giblin, he don't want to do anything for the next 3 months. I've talked to Mr. Giblin, he's wanting to do some traveling, so how are we going to appoint him to a committee when he don't want to be here for 3 months?
Well, and that's the reason you have 9 on that committee.
Well, I'm just saying, here again, we're doing another disservice by not having people that's going to be here, by appointing these people right now when they know they're not going to be here.
What?
It was a concern, so I just think before we go in here half-cocked again, not knowing what our responsibilities are to these committees, we need to understand them before we appoint these people.
I would agree, and if there's 9 and there's 2 that don't want to serve, there's still 7 left, right?
We can talk to the people that are on there. I don't know. But I've never talked to the architectural committee at all. I don't know.
The architecture.
Katie, you've had your hand up.
Yeah, let me just say this. We struggle to have quorum at the meetings for one reason or another. And some of it's been health issues. But the committee changes hands, or the new committee comes in the 1st of June. So if you don't make a decision at this meeting, then there may not be a quorum until after the next board meeting. We're talking another month.
You are talking another month. I understand that.
So
And they meet every Tuesday.
meet every Tuesday.
And,
I know we're between the squeeze, but it's.
I don't know if the board can make this decision. I'm eligible for another 2 terms because of other things I have going on. I don't want to run for another 2 terms, but I would be willing to sit on the committee until you filled those positions if it was just a matter of making sure that we have
That's what I would
quorum.
like to ask the committee members right now. Would they consider, so we're not going in here haphazardly again, and I know we've had one committee that's disbanded because they could get no guidance. And if we're supposed to help guide you guys, I think we need to know what that requires before asking somebody else to fill a position.
Well,
Could we take action?
Shirley Hatchell's got a hand up.
On the recreation committee, we have 9 members, and Mr. and Ms. Giblin have been helping us out on that committee until they could be approved. And if they're gone for 3 months, it won't matter because we have enough to do with the recreation. Just wanted to bring that up.
Could we have a week to look it over or something and approve it then? Or,
Well,
maybe less than a month, I don't know.
Here again, we've got a meeting 24 to go over resumes. We could possibly do that, maybe then even. But at least give us time, everybody time to look at this information. I know Ralph Lee's been on the board before, Roby's never been on the board before, so I just think they need to know what they're committing themselves to before we do some of this stuff. Anybody have anything else? Any more questions?
Back in
Mr.
I've done a lot of building in my lifetime, and I would be willing to serve on it. I think I know what's going on in the deal.
And who would you be, sir?
Roland Boyson.
Roland
Boyson.
I make a recommendation that we table this until the meeting that's upcoming to address the other issue and come to a decision at that time on these appointees. That'll give us all a chance to read the material and better understand what we're looking at.
I have a motion to defer this
That's a good word.
for,
When's the meeting at?
for the 24th,
Right.
until the 24th.
I'd second that.
Got a motion and a second to defer making appointments to give the new board members time to go over these requirements for board appointed committees. All in favor? I got 3 members voting. Motion passes.
That way we should make this deadline.
Correct. That should still give us time to meet that deadline also, maybe. Now, going into items 20, 21, 20 and 21. The appointment of the board members to the Preservation Committee, Architectural, Recreation, RV, and Golf.
Wait, I was reading this on this.
Well, we need to make appointments. 20, let's go with 21st.
Okay.
Well,
Okay, I move to discuss and consider item number 20, consideration of the Preservation Society. Is that it?
All right, I've got a motion to consider the board appointees to the Preservation Restoration. Do I have a second?
I second.
I have a motion and a second to appoint board, to discuss the board members for
Preservation.
Preservation Restoration Committee. All in favor? 4 members. All in favor? 4 members voting. And what I guess everybody knows that the Preservation Restoration Committee was formed 5 years ago. That includes 2 people from the Historical Committee, Society, 2 people from Community Council, 2 people from the Fort Clark Springs Board, and 1 person from the Kinney County Historical Society. And what we do is decide what needs to be done with the historical buildings, Fort Clark Springs historical buildings. This is also where the $1 was voted in at the annual meeting to put $1 from the impound fund to the buildings to help keep them painted, rotted wood, stuff like that done. So I was the board appointed representative last year. Lee was actually the representative from Community Council last year. So I guess what we need to do is either appoint us on there as board members, or does somebody else want to be on that committee?
Personally, on the preservation and restoration, I would like to see Roby Robinson sit on that committee.
Are these the only, you guys are the only 2, we have to
Board
appoint
reps.
2 board members?
2
okay.
board members. You got 2 board members, 2 community council members, 2 members from the Historical Society.
What she's talking about is I'm already on it, and we had decided that somebody from the board has to go because Larry's off of it.
Larry Farlow was the past member. If
So
you're
it
not
is-
careful,
so
you've
it
got
is-
3 people that are board members because you got 1 person representing community council.
Right, and we're trying to keep that,
So
so
we-
it's not a quorum, you know,
Oh,
we have our
okay.
meetings. So that's why it was suggested that I do it. Other than that, you know, if you have no problem with 3 board members sitting there.
One other thing that was not set up when that committee was formed, there was no length of terms. And what we are going through right now is trying to set length of terms, even with the other the Historical Society, the Community Council.
Right.
Some people have been on there 5 years.
What,
So
Like me.
what's the length of term for the architectural committee?
It's 2 years with the option to up for another 2 years.
2 years.
And I think where we were looking at is possibly 3 years, trying to go with a 3-year term. So if you're a board member now, you would have 3 years to be on this committee, so you would know where it was, and then kind of rotate somehow down the line with the other members, so you'd never have a full new crew with it. But you've got to have some people that want to be on it because of the historic value and things you have to meet there. And that was another reason we invited the Historical Society from Kinney County in here. The reason Community Council has been on here is because for the last 5 years, every penny from Fort Clark days has been given to the historic buildings. Every penny that has been profit.
And that's up this year, right?
Well, they're still going to go 70-30, 70.
No, it's still going to be part of it.
60-40, 60-40, because Community Council has got to replace their funds, and so they are still going to put 60% of all the proceeds from Fort Clark Days to the Historic Building Fund.
So that's the reason for my name being there. And it would open up a position on community council to be filled.
But here again, before we start appointing people to something they don't even know what the committee does, do we need to postpone that again so you understand before you take an appointment? Judy?
Then I think in that sense, maybe you on the board need to do that for the board member. But for the other committees, that's their jurisdiction, up to them, who they want to serve on that committee. The board would have no input on that.
What committees are you talking about?
I'm talking about the Preservation and Restoration Committee. The Historical Society has 2 members. They should, they have the jurisdiction of
for
who
their
they want
members.
to
Yeah, they
appoint.
do.
Right.
And so does the community council.
Likewise has the jurisdiction. The only
Yeah,
thing
and
you're
we're-
trying to decide is whether you want Lee to move from one to the other.
Well, that was because when I come on here, there was always 3 board members, and then that's left the perception that we had a quorum at a different meeting, that we were talking about Fort business, not not preservation business. So I resigned from the community council and took the board position, so that would not be a factor anymore. Because perception is a big factor here when you're meeting with 3 board members.
Right, but what I'm saying is those other entities.
They've got the right to make their own decisions, that's correct.
So it goes back to what you pleasure.
Can't you talk about this at the same time you're gonna talk about the various committees?
That's what I'm asking, I don't know. I don't mind
We'll
going
just-
off myself if he
well, we
wants to,
just-
that's great.
We'll table all the issues in.
Yeah, I'd say we ought to decide them all at the same time, come up with a thought process for whatever we're doing, do them all at once.
It's fine.
Okay, you want to put that in the form of a motion?
Yeah, I move we discuss, consider table number 20
21.
and 21 until the meeting of we'll make a decision on the
24th.
meeting of the 24th.
I've got a motion to postpone items 20 and 21 until the week of the 24th. All in favor? Motion passes. Darlene, did you vote?
Yes, I did.
4 members. Y'all quicker than my eyes. Okay, item number 22. Discussion, consideration, paying, approving accounts payables in public.
I make a motion that we, for discussion of paying accounts payable in public.
I second that.
I got a motion and a second to discuss paying our accounts payable in public. All in favor? Discussion. Motion passed to discuss.
I think we need to have our accounts payable, what we're spending money on, approved by the board. Some of them I'm sure we can't because of when they're due, possibly, but the regular bills that are due, we have to pay anyway. There's no, the telephone bill, the electric bill, but any projects that are like the bathroom issue before. We should have approved paying that. Everybody on the board should have known what was going on with that issue and what we were paying for, how much he was getting. Did we pay him up front? Did he finish the work? Did it come up to standards? Those kind of things. And I intend to try to do on the budget, if we can get to that, and how we all agree on the budget, that we come up with a realistic number, a line item number for monthly and yearly budgets for each department, and they'll be authorized to spend that much money and not a cent more without us approving more of it. We need to have a...
That's number 25. Let's just discuss the bill payment right now.
Okay, well, that's one reason I wanted to have accounts payable in public, so we know what we were paying before everybody ran off with their money.
How are you gonna, I know we get discounts. If we pay our bills by a certain date. I know for a fact that if you don't pay your electric bill by the 15th, sometimes we don't meet here till the 19th or the 20th. You're not going to be able to do that, or you're going to pay a fine.
And regular recurring bills need to be approved and paid up front.
And we have a treasurer. If the treasurer sees something that comes across that he's got a problem with, then he shouldn't sign that check, and he should let us know, and we can question it maybe. But to pay our bills in front of every member here, I just don't really see where that's feasible.
And
That's me.
and as being treasurer, and I've been signing checks for 2 years, I would have to agree with Debbie. Anytime I see a check that I feel that's out of place, I'll always question it. I haven't had one yet that I thought should be brought to the board in the last year. In some cases, I paid it, and I can't discuss it, but in one case, I paid the bill to keep us from being sued. But I did bring it to the sitting president at the time, and action was taken. And that's all I can discuss at this time. Anytime I see a bill that just blurts out, say it's got to be involved, and I would do the same thing if I run across one now, and the board needed to know, or Debbie needed to know, so she could call a special session, and it needed to be addressed, I would do that, because I take my responsibility as treasurer to heart, and I give it 110%. And that's all I got to say on the issue.
I don't think that we should do it in public either. I think this is a normal accounting process that should be handled in the office, and if you have any need for the information, you could request a copy come in your packet so that you see everything that's paid every month. To just sit here and pay the bill, or to
approve or disapprove.
Disapprove each one that comes up, and to have him down the end sign the bill right here. That's a little bit far-fetched.
The county pays them like that every month.
Well, I think I see where Roger's coming from, and I know a lot of the membership is want more information on where's the money going, and in an open forum, we would know that. It may not be practical to do, but rather than doing it in an open meeting, paying all the bills, maybe if that information was available to the general membership if we asked for it, instead of having to bring it out in open.
That under the Opens Meetings Act and under the Public Information Act, if you go and write a letter and give it to Janelle requesting the bills that will be paid in writing, by law, by state law, that has to be that information has to be given to you, and that comes under public information. There's certain procedures that you have to jump through to do it, but if you put it in writing, if any member puts it in writing and requests information from their accounting office or from their human resources office or whatever, that information has to be given to you, and we have a time frame. Now, the time frame, if you give it to us on a Tuesday, you got 10 working days, so it doesn't mean 10 working days. Let's say you have a holiday or 2 holidays in that 10 working days. The holidays and the weekends don't count, so it may drag over, and especially if it was in December, it may drag over a 2-week period. But that information is definitely going to be given to you.
But with the new computer system, isn't that information available all the time?
The financial sheets are available
The
on a
financial
monthly basis. As we get them, are supposed to be updated on the website also. And hopefully, when we get our passwords to where each of us can go in and check different things, there could be possibly some more information out there, possibly. Like this here that we received, the cash flow. But, you know, every Tom, Dick, and Harry that's not a member here, they don't need to be able to see certain information. Mr. Ebert, you got a hand up?
The question I have is, how many checks do you write a month?
Ooh.
Well, there's the answer. Do we want to ask?
I mean, I'm called in, you know, sometimes I'm called in for 2 checks, sometimes I'm called in for this many checks. Then you got payroll checks. There's a lot of checks.
I came in, Garland wasn't here one day, I come in, I thought I had a couple of checks, and it ended up taking me about 20 minutes to sign the checks.
And
20 to 30 minutes to sign the checks.
And if you're doing your job,
But if you're doing your job,
it takes
you
more
have to
than
go
that.
back and look at the documentation, what it's for. There's a lot of time involved to understand what you're signing. So, and then if I have a question by something, I've got a notepad that I write those notes down. So it's a time consuming, and that just was one day. Then you got your payroll checks that you got to sign, and I guess he has to sign every check.
Yeah, every check.
And that's 55 checks right there. Then you got
Twice a month.
Twice a month, yes. So it's a complicated situation, but if you've got a treasurer that does their job and there's something he's not sure, he should be questioning them or bringing it to the president so that we can discuss it amongst ourselves.
I guess the only thing is, and I understand where you're coming from, if and when, say towards the end of the year, we get hit with another special assessment, we didn't know it was coming because there was some unusual expenses above and beyond normal fixed costs. We would have liked to have known about it before it hits. All we got to, you know, and maybe there's something that can slow down those costs that are above and beyond. Maybe there's a reason why the normal fixed cost all of a sudden jumped to the point where we have to have another special assessment to make ends meet.
Well, that question was brought up right in this morning, right off the bat. So just to let you know, you've got a board that's trying to bring everything to your attention. I don't know how long we'll keep doing this. Hopefully, I hope it continues personally.
And as far, I think...
Ms. Brown had a hand up. Let me get her right.
Okay.
My suggestion, and this is just a suggestion, I attend a lot of meetings. And the way that it's usually done, when they approve the bills that have been paid, everything that's normally done, your electric bill, any utilities, any payroll, anything that's standard every month, you know, that should all the bills that are being paid should be in your board packet. If there's anything that stands out, for instance, if the air conditioner went out in the boardroom, you had to, you know, replace an air conditioner. That's an unusual expense that's above and beyond the normal monthly expenses, and that might be something that a board member would bring up at the meeting.
Right.
You know, but as far as every little detailed bill that's paid, you know, the normal stuff doesn't need to be, but it should be in your packets, and if anything was outstanding,
Right, the
then
water-
that's what should be brought up.
The water board in the county approved that, and there's a list of stuff that they pay every month. They don't wait to pay the electric bill or the water bill, or probably 95% of their bills are standardly paid. But anytime there's a different expense that's not a normal daily, monthly, weekly expense, then it's kind of approved by the board.
Yeah.
That was my idea about it. That's
And according to our bylaws and stuff, and anytime a bill is over $1,000, it has to be approved by the board. It just can't. If it's over $1,000 and hasn't been board approved, I ain't going to sign it. You know.
Yeah, except,
most times that's
like,
brought up prior to a check being written in the board. You know, it's.
One other thing we really have to put into perspective here is we're going to a new computer system. We have bukus of accounts right now. With the new system, we're having to streamline our accounts. I have got my first sample idea of what it's going to be like. And I'm working with the accounting person right now to where all this is streamlined. Now I need to know what's in this streamlined new line item. But if there's something that really shows up, they're telling me that I can come up here and I can request the whole enchilada of everything that went in or came out of that account. So it's really helpful to understand the procedure that they do. And if we can work together, which is my plan, to work together with the staff, when we go live with this new system, we will have every piece of documentation we need if we've got a question. And Janelle can vouch. I think I've been up here, I don't know how many hours, taking up Sheila's time, taking up Marcy's time, trying to get this thing done, because if we don't do it right now, then we're going to suffer in the future. And that's where I'm looking to go with this stuff. But to sit up here and individually go through every check we have, I just cannot see that.
Okay.
One more question, then we're moving on.
I want to make a quick comment. Generally speaking, in a corporation this size, I don't see the board of directors signing checks. Frankly, that's something that's done internally. You know, and we talk about micromanaging, and if we're going to update, I think that's one of the things that should be looked at. They should be here to supervise what happens once a month, rather than come down here every day to sign checks and see what's happening and what's happening. That's where you have a general manager.
The declarations are set up that the board, one board member will sign the check plus one office personnel.
So
No, ma'am, that was simply, excuse me, that was simply a board resolution.
A board resolution.
Right, but I agree with Mr. Ebert, and thank you, sir, for understanding that
But-
most companies, corporations, businesses are not set up, the directors don't come in and sign all the checks.
Well-
The county is a little bit different, that they approve, like you said, they bring everything to be approved or whatever.
Well,
I just don't,
majority
y'all,
is.
I just hope that the board will not take some action in saying that, okay, this has got to have board approval before it's paid, and leave it so vague that we in-house are hung out to dry.
No, I wouldn't want it to be vague at all.
And I would like to
Be-
correct something else, perhaps, and I know what Mr. Young was saying. I'd just like to reinforce what he said. Right now, the Director of Operations is limited to spending in excess of $1,000 per purchase, except routine items such as, gasoline, the insurance
go up
that's
to
due
gas
every
tanks
month,
and stuff
routine
like that.
things that occur, maintenance supply items, that type
You
of
can
thing.
honestly say I haven't held those up.
Yes, sir. No, sir.
So here, back to the motion is, do we want to approve accounts payable in public? That is the question on the agenda.
Are we voting?
I guess I need a motion if you want to do that, a second, and then a vote, I guess.
I move that we do pay them in public. A select few accounts, we'll have to work through the office to find out what they are, which ones we want to.
I disagree. You're gonna have a meeting every time so we as the public can come and watch you sign checks?
Yeah, we're not going to sign checks every day. It's just certain
yes,
items.
You are.
Yeah.
Well, no,
Yes, you
we'll
are.
exclude
That
the
is a
items.
motion, do I have a second?
Who said?
Okay, we got a motion and a second to pay the accounts payables in public, all in favor?
But only the accounts we select.
You can't do that.
No.
No, you're paying the accounts payable. Accounts payable is everything you pay every month. If you're gonna pay $1.50
If
to
you're
Burger
pay-
and Shake for a hamburger for somebody who's worked here, you gotta show that in public.
Okay, I've
That's
got
what you're
it.
saying. Everything in public, of the whole check.
I've got a motion and I have a second, all in favor to pay the bills in public. Motion dies, one member voting for, 3 members voting against.
Now, something we can provide is, Madam Chairman, Madam President, if you want a list of the vendors, we can provide a copy of the check register, just about anything that y'all want to provide.
I know I've been getting those, when I've had questions on stuff, I've been getting the check register. I've been getting, and if we need that for a certain item, we can request that.
But be assured, anybody within the office that's involved in writing the checks, signing the checks, paying the bills, buying things, nobody's trying to cheat the association. Number one, we don't have time to figure out how to do
It's
it.
the same question over the contract with the guy at the bathrooms. I mean, somehow he got half the money up front, the jobs, I don't know the long and the short of the whole thing, but there's confusion there
It
somewhere.
was approved by the board.
That's what happened.
Okay, moving on. Number 23, discussion, consideration, setting date for town hall forum.
Madam President, I'd like to make a motion that we table that issue because most of the members that live here, and you're talking about town forum, you'd be people that live on the fort. A lot of our members are winter Texans and they have left, and I would like to see a town hall meeting set up when the winter Texans are here, and the town hall forum only for special issues. That's my opinion. I'd like to make a motion that we table that one.
I've got a motion to table the setting of the town hall meeting date. Do I have a second?
Second.
I got a motion and a second to table the town hall meeting forum for a future date. All in favor? Discussion?
I would think we'd have one in short order at some point in time and not exclude everybody, but not have more than one. I mean, it's not like the law. We can only have one town hall forum. If we have it now, we can never have another one. I would like to hear some of the members' opinions and ideas of how we can get out of where we're at, any help that they could give us on moving forward with the things we're doing, wanting to do, and the things that they want to have done, the ideas they may have that we should be working on. So it's not that we're excluding the winter Texans. They're just not happen to be here at this town hall meeting. They'll be here at the next one or the next one after that. I mean,
but then they'll have the same questions that we just went through and have no idea what we just talked about. So we would be repeating the same things over and over and over, taking up time. To me, and that's where we got in such this big to-do with this KOA. Yeah, y'all wait till everybody leaves and then y'all do this type of thing. That's going to be the same perception. Well, y'all wait till we're all gone and then you bring all this up, so we didn't have a say in none of it. I'd rather do it first when they're here, when they first get here, and then maybe another one right before they all leave. That way everybody's got a chance to be involved in 2 of them a year.
I understand you're anxious on this, but it's better that we wait until the others are here. You've got 6 months to play with it and have the town meetings.
And we don't have to.
On the right page.
Okay, but we don't have to take it. It's not like, okay, we got an idea and we have to act on it today. We could, mull it over and put it in order and work around it, and maybe 6 months before we ever decide to do anything with it.
But it's hard to make an appointment for 6 months that we're going to have this town meeting, or 5 months or 6 months, because we just don't know for sure how things are going to play out. Mr. Herman.
Basically, to me, a town hall meeting, a town hall forum is a big suggestion box.
It is.
That's correct.
So you could have, if, you can do it a couple of ways if you want. If these people, you could have it, like you said, when the main body of people are here. And during the year, if these people have suggestions or thoughts, everybody loves to email things. Let them email them. I mean, I'm not saying you don't have the town hall meeting. I'm just saying they can do it anytime they want. If it's a suggestion box, I can go in here now today, and if you had a suggestion box, for example, I can make a suggestion, put it in there.
Yes.
Same thing.
Diane Daniels.
Most people who are interested in the organization are here at these meetings. And therefore, I don't know that a town hall meeting at this point in time would do us much of any good.
I understand that, and another thing, a lot of things are done in these meetings. If you don't attend these meetings, you don't know it. If you don't attend the community council meeting, you don't know it. So I can use that. Well, this is the first time I've heard about that. But if you'd have been to these meetings and had been coming to these meetings, you would have known a whole lot more of what was going on.
And we also have a video record.
Now we do. So now there's so much more stuff that is out there. I got, who over here first? I had a hand up.
Well, the magic word once again was email and communication, and the frustration that I have obviously is I'm gone in the summer and I don't have a clue what's happening. With email, I think you've answered the questions. If you give us more than just an agenda with one line, what happened under this particular item?
Well, here again, the board meetings, the agenda are on our new website. It's not what happened last year, but it's what's happening today.
But you don't have any information underneath it. We missed
The whole minutes will be on there after we approve them.
The discussion. And that's where the.
That's
if
where
you
this
can
comes in,
advertise
too.
More where we can listen to the discussion. That's the important thing,
And-
the input.
Please don't depend on me, I might die tonight.
We were also thinking about putting on the website kind of a weekly or monthly board of directors comment section of kind of what we had planned and what we're doing as well.
And
There was one more handout, Shelley Brown.
Yeah, I just hate to eliminate everybody on the fort due to the winter Texans. I think that they were upset over the RV park, and rightly so. But at the same time, I don't think that they would agree to the fact that you couldn't hold any meetings unless they were here. They are part-time residents, they're not full-time residents.
But they pay their dues
full year.
So do the
12
rest
months a
of us,
year.
And they can watch it on
And they vote.
video.
And that may be the fact, but the first one I had, I would like to include every member on this fort and have the full opportunity as a member to do it, and then set them up accordingly.
Yeah,
Mr. Williams.
You could also have more or less a suggestion box with an interactive message board on your website.
And that's in the future with the new website, it's just getting it all to play together. Mr.
Could you use the email and read the emails as correspondence at the board meeting?
Hopefully that's gonna be out there. I'm hoping that there's a lot more things that we're gonna be able to do as we're getting more stuff out into the open with the members. You had your hand up earlier.
What's the difference in the town hall meeting and a workshop?
Quite a bit of difference. A workshop, you're usually addressing certain issues that the board wants to work with. And a town hall meeting is like one gentleman said, suggestions, or if it's a special issue that the board wants to bring to the public and they want information on, such as, I'll give an example, they want to put a toll road through here, make this Fort Clark Road a toll road, that would be a special issue, and that we would request a town hall meeting on it. But mostly a town hall meeting is input from the membership on suggestions or a special issue.
May I say something? Once again, and I know I offend some by saying this, but I'm sorry. This is a board of directors meeting. Members are here to observe. The membership meeting, annual membership meeting, is held once a year. If the board's going to have workshop sessions, whatever you want to call it throughout the year, then members participate. We have the member discussion period at the end of every board meeting. At one time we had 15 minutes before and 15 minutes after. But this is a board of directors meeting, and not for all the members to participate in on every agenda item. Now, if the board wants to change that, then that's certainly up to the board.
Well,
But just bear in mind that this is a board of directors meeting.
Yeah.
Members are encouraged to come as observers, not to participate on every agenda item.
Yeah, we do.
In the past, prior to me sitting on the board, I used to sit out in the audience, and everything, they'd come in and an item was on the thing, and they'd say, I make a motion to buy a truck, for example. And you'd get a second, there was no discussion, they'd say all in favor, aye. It was voted on, and the membership had no idea what was happening, myself included. It started when I come on, though, we let the membership participate. And you're right as far as, and I'm not, don't want you to get mad, but you're right in the fact that it is a board meeting, and we're giving the membership that's interested enough to come to this meeting. Debbie is, she's recognizing members in the fort, and I think that's the board's choosing to do so. The member feels like that they've had some input. I realize that, according to the Open Meeting Act, we can make you guys sit there and not say a word and not have any input, and so we're extending a privilege. When it gets out of hand, Debbie got a gavel there, she can gavel it down. But I think on the whole, when you talk about open meetings, this form of meeting that we're doing right now is about as open as you'll ever get in a regular meeting room, such i.e. School boards, city councils, and stuff like this. And I hope that you appreciate that we let you guys put stuff in versus just letting us run our mouth. Thank you.
Okay, the question on the table is town hall forums. I'm all for a town hall forum. I say let's go wait till October or November, shoot for sometime in October or November, and then I'm happy as a lark.
Point of order, we've already voted on it.
No, we just discuss it. No, we didn't delay it, not this one.
I think we did.
We just went to the discussions, all we had. So what we need to do is have a motion.
I'll make a motion that we delay this until Debbie decides we want to have a town hall forum.
I've got a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
We've got a motion and a second to delay this to somewhere around October or November. All in favor? Motion passes, 4 members voting. Discussion, consideration, energy audit.
I'll make a motion that we discuss energy audits.
I second that.
I've got a motion and a second to consider energy audits. All in favor? Motion passes, 4 members voting. Discussion?
The reason I think we need to have that done right away is on our financial statement. In 2011, this is for the golf course expenses, just for an example. 2011 year-to-date, the electricity at the golf course was $1,985. This year-to-date, it's $5,706. In our 2012 budget, we actually budgeted $2,900, and in the current month budget was $1,000.
Well, if you'll look here, down here at the maintenance down here now, there's no electricity. The water's down here now for this group up here, and the electricity from this group is up here now. So that's the difference in your yearly differences.
There's electricity down here too, but at any rate,
It doesn't have no fixtures in it. Look at
it's
the,
got $3,000.
for electricity?
Yeah.
Look where the blank is. That's where
Oh,
electricity
okay.
is.
Well, at any rate, that bill, for whatever reason, is a lot higher, so we'll have I think it's important to do an energy audit on all the Ford-owned buildings to find out how much we're spending, where, if we could cut it down, be more efficient,
Oh, I
and
didn't,
find out if it's gonna cost us any money. If it does gonna cost us more than a nominal fee, like $100 or something, then we need to decide on that. But if the power and light company will come and do it for free,
did you check on that? I know we discussed it before.
We did, and I have not at this point, but I can check with AEP and Red Grand Electric both and see if there's going to be a charge. AEP is a little bit difficult to deal with after they changed over from CP&L. It's just, I don't know if any of y'all have called them lately. On your individual meters, one thing, but on us up here, it's very difficult. But we'll work through it and see what we can get set up.
I'm just showing Robbie something right quick, guys. See, there's this way minimum compared to what they've done here. They've taken this one and added it up to here. And why, I don't know, but that's the reason theirs looks so much bigger.
But, and I'll have to agree with Roby that an energy audit is always advisable, especially at today's price of energy. If our buildings are not efficient and we're not running them efficient, then we need to know about it. I don't think it would cost that much to.
Well, I just think that as a day-to-day operations manager, we should let Janelle get a hold of them and see what it's going to cost us, or if it's going to cost us, and go forward at a future time. All in favor?
The motion?
Well, does it even need to be a motion?
Yeah.
We're just giving her a directive as the operations manager to check it out.
Yeah.
You make a motion here?
All in favor of letting Janelle go ahead and get a hold of the companies and seeing?
See if it's gonna cost us.
All in favor? Motion passes. Didn't know it had to be an emotion.
No, it's an emotion.
Discussion, consideration, setting date for the first budget workshop.
I move to discuss and consider setting a date for our budget workshop.
I'll second that motion.
I got a motion and a second to set a date for our first budget workshop. All in favor of discussing? Motion passes. 4 members voting.
I would like to, for a budget, we're going to need more than one workshop, especially this year, and especially after last year. when we operated in the red. And prior to having a budget workshop, I think, Debbie, at one time you discussed having Randy come in and meet with the board and let us know where we're at before we work at the workshop. And I think a budget workshop should be set up in coordination with Randy so he can go through the figures real quickly. I mean, not a real audit, but he's.
Well, that's what I'm waiting on, but I was also waiting for him to have our final audit numbers. The last I had on that was strictly a preliminary.
Right.
I am also trying to figure out the budget because the ladies that are doing the figures for me right now, they don't know what's going on. Here again, I've been up here numerous times trying to figure out these figures that somebody else put in and nobody knows where they came from. We had budget workshops last year. One board member attended one board member attended another one. The third one, the other board member attended it. So really nobody really knows for sure where some of these numbers come from. Some of them have gotten kind of put in the wrong categories, and I'm trying to work through that. I was wanting to have a budget workshop. I've been trying for 2 months to get these figures together. I am a whole lot closer right now, but before I actually held a workshop I want to have our audit report from last year and bring in Randy to discuss this here and then guide us in the direction we need to go to set our new budget for 2013. Randy, when I asked him last year if he would come in and talk to the new board members, he thought that was a great idea. He had never been asked to do that, to discuss the past or the future budgets. So that's where I'm waiting until I've got my final numbers with the annual report for last year.
Okay, and I think Roby made a fine suggestion as to each department should have a monthly budget and an annual budget, and if they go over that, to spend over the budget or amount of money that we allowed in a month, then they need to come and get approval for it. I mean, it seems like it. We had a cash flow problem last year, and we need to set financial amounts for each division, and whoever's in charge of that, say maintenance department or golf department, or I think we need to know exactly, get an idea how much money it takes to operate a month. We set that down as their monthly budget, and then we set up an annual budget, and if they're going to run over that budget, they need to let us know, and the board needs to approve that. That's my opinion. How do you feel, Roby?
Well, the budget, maybe we're mincing words on budget. I want to clarify a bunch in our financial reports. There's a bunch of numbers that don't make sense. Just like the $5,000 or $7,000 or what Debbie was trying to explain to me about the electricity at the golf course. If those numbers aren't in the right spot, we need to fix them now before we have a budget meeting. We need to get all those ducks in a row. There's another thing. We've got just odds and ends on here. On our balance sheet for last month, and I'm sure it's on this one, I didn't outline everything, food service equipment. We've got $81,404.64 worth of food service equipment here. It's been depreciated down $57,000. That's a lot of microwaves and 36-inch ranges. I'd like to see where that is. I'm not saying it's not here and we don't have it. I'd just like to make sure that these numbers are realistic. We're supposed to have $1.5 million worth of equipment here somewhere. That's a lot of weed eaters. I mean, I don't know. Is that them trucks we just replaced because they weren't worth 14 cents in Japanese war bonds? I mean, you add them up, I don't know where that $1.5 million came from. And I'm not saying there's anything underhanded. It's just, are these the correct numbers? Is this, do we have $81,000 worth of restaurant equipment here? I'd like to see where it is. If there's just, we've carried $500,000 in bad debt. Why are we carrying that on there? I mean, I'd like to find out what somebody's idea that is, where it's coming from, and that way when we do have a budget meeting, we're not asking all those questions.
Well, that's where, when we bring that auditor in here, he can explain more of that information to us. But really, when you're talking budget, what I'm looking at budget is what we plan to spend the rest of this year on in our departments and our operating entities, and then what we by looking at what we're spending this year, what we plan to spend next year. And yes, I do believe that the managers need to be involved in what budget is set for them. And if they think they're going to go over, explain it to us. Why? So we can explain it to the membership.
Well, the auditor doesn't, these are our financial statements we're printing here, and another example, an administrative expense. Year-to-date in 2011 was $552,000 and change. Year-to-date in 2012 was $594,000. There's $40,000 extra, and the budget for 2012 was $460,000, which is $100,000 less. How did we come up with that $460,000 number? Why did we think we were going to cut $100,000 off our budget from 2011? And if we actually thought that, why did it go up, in fact? I would like to go over them with us and our bookkeeper here prior to getting into an actual budget workshop so we can adjust the numbers we've got now to reflect historical data and go forward on our 2013 budget with realistic numbers. If we have the maintenance department's going to spend $200,000, I want to make sure that we spend between $198,000 and $202,000. I want to have a line item that close enough for them so that it's realistic. I realize things are going to break and fall down, but those will, we need to budget money for those things too. I just want to start working on it now rather than later.
Mr. Herman.
If you're going to have a budget meeting, to me, the way I look at a budget, you want to know what it's going to cost you to operate for the next year.
That's right.
Okay? Mr. Winchell does not have a clue, and I don't mean this disrespectfully, he has no clue what maintenance is going to spend money on. So how can he set a budget, which he can't?
Because we have historical data here to start with.
No. You have to have the heads of whatever department it is submit to you a budget.
That's correct.
Then you work on what it is all about. You cannot set the budget. You haven't got a clue how this place operates, and I don't mean that disrespectfully. There's too many little bits and pieces around here that are operated by people. Let them present to you a budget.
And then hold them accountable to what they've given you.
That's correct. And we need to start on that right now too, because they can't whip a budget out in 5 minutes on themselves.
But you can't say, well, last year we spent $3 million on electricity. Last year's gone. You're not going to do anything about it. You can find out why it happened, but it doesn't matter. Tell me what you're going to spend this year. That's all you want to know.
But here again,
the way we'll tell is by looking at the last 3 or 4 years of how much we spent on electricity, and that'll be
not necessarily.
Here again, we're getting out of hand. You're wanting to set a date. Right now, I'm not comfortable setting a date until I get my audit report from last year and get the new system where everything's going to be put. I can't explain it to myself, so I can't explain it to anybody else yet.
I'll make a motion that we table this until we hear from Randy.
Awesome.
I got a motion to hold off making a date for our first budget meeting until after we hear from Randy.
I'll second that motion.
I got a motion and a second to put off scheduling a date for the first budget workshop till after we talk to Randy on our audit.
Are you comfortable with asking your people to get the reports to you while you're waiting for that? That should not affect them.
What reports?
If you want maintenance to give you a line item budget for what they want for the year,
They don't have one.
well, they
That's
need to.
what she's asking.
They need to.
That information should be given out after we talk to Randy on our audit, and then we will request the information from the department heads.
We got a vote here.
And we've got a vote going on. All in favor of holding off until after we talk to Randy on our first budget workshop? All in favor? 3 members voting to set this date after we talk with our auditor. Now, I got a hand here.
Quick question, why is this taking so long for the auditor to get our statements from last year?
Because it had to do with some lawsuits. They needed the information. And so they're waiting on some information to finish out last year's figures.
And this year's almost half over.
It is.
Well, he had a heart attack.
And then he had
a bypass.
five or something bypass. He's the one that had all of our account information. He was the one that had actually started the audit. So that always we are.
Well,
And
that's
we
why I
have
wanted to
been.
start on something rather than now, but we'll start on it later, so.
You could start on the budgets, get your departments to give you a budget.
Yes.
What they're gonna take.
Well, that's true.
Okay, but that's gonna be a guidance situation there too, because that's not the way the budget's been set in the past. So here we go with another learning curve.
All right, Duck.
Item number 26, discussion, consideration, duck-in opening.
I move to discuss opening the duck in.
I'll second that motion.
I got a motion and a discussion, second to discuss, discuss the duck-in opening. All in favor of discussion? All in favor of discussion? Got 2 members voting.
It's your turn, Debbie.
It's my turn. At this time, I'm with this group.
You're this,
Which group?
which group?
Against.
Against, so it dies for lack of support.
Discussion, consideration, hunting program.
Madam President, I'd like to make a motion that we table this discussion of hunting program until we find out the results and a ruling from the judge. We've already had the hearing on the suit that we filed with the appraisal district, and the ruling would affect how we conduct our hunting program, and we should be getting that ruling pretty quick. Am I right, Janelle?
Yes, I was hoping that the judge would rule before this weekend, but
we should be getting before
yes,
the
sir.
end of the month.
Oh,
we don't know.
I don't know.
We don't know, but anyway, the lawsuit that we got with against the appraisal district would definitely influence on how we're going to conduct our hunting program. So I would like to table this at this one, and hopefully we'll be able to either call a special session or put it on the agenda for
So
next
I've got a
month.
motion to table this until a future board meeting. Do I have a second?
Second.
I've got a motion and a second to postpone this item till a future board meeting. All in favor?
Did we discuss or not?
I thought we just discussed. We just discussed.
We're not discussing.
We just tabled it.
We just tabled it.
We just tabled it till we've got more information. And on that tax lawsuit, I asked Mr. Shahan the other day how long that could take, and he said it could be happening this week or it could happen a year from now. It's at the judge's discretion, being in his hands.
So we'll be waiting for a year to have a deer hunt.
Well, no.
It's going to set for, but a ruling on that tax lawsuit, he said it could happen today or it could happen a year from now. It was strictly in the judge's discretion as when he ruled on it, because it's in his hands.
And in my feeling, I mean, we're discussing about the ruling, but my feeling, if we don't have a ruling by next month, then we're going to have to go ahead and set up the hunting program.
Hopefully we'll have a ruling, but then put it on the board meeting for next month.
Yes, ma'am. I will say that I've had, in the last probably month, 6 weeks, a number of calls from individuals that hunted last year or that heard about it or something, and I've just been asking all of them, instead of us trying to keep a waiting list, to please check back with us end of August, 1st of September. That will still give us time for the survey in August and getting things scheduled.
Good. It's something very important because that did bring in much needed revenue this year, so we don't want to drop the ball on this at all.
Right, that's what I was concerned about, is we could book hunting and motel packages together and start generating more revenue for the fort, have a better planned hunt, have the areas that we're going to hunt discussed ahead of time so we don't have a train wreck on areas of the fort closed when other people don't want them closed, and let everybody get a dog in the fight so we can get done early.
So if you could put that on the agenda for next month, then we can definitely move forward. 28, discussion, consideration, 5 and 10 year plan for the association.
I move that we discuss a future plan for the association.
I'll second that motion.
I got a motion and a second.
Break time.
It is.
You can't talk anymore.
I've got a motion and a second to discuss a 5 and 10 year plan for the association. All in favor of discussion? 4 members voting for discussion.
All right.
While y'all are discussing,
That's a good idea. Discuss.
I think that's a great idea. I've been on the board for 2 years. I'll come off the end in March, and we've never had a 5-year plan or a 10-year plan. And for the fort to move forward, projects need to be set up, and we need to find ways to finance projects that are going to bring revenue into the association. And as far as I know, it's always been, well, I back opening up Dickman Hall, or I back doing this, and it's never been a 5-year plan or a 10-year plan. And in reality, to move forward so that we can make this a financially sound system or association and not have to come up with special assessments and stuff like that, we definitely need a 5-year plan. And Roby, it was your idea, so I'll let you expound on it.
I don't know, it's the fort's idea. We need to, for example, I think the RV park needs to be repaired up there. The swimming pool needs to be repaired. All our historic buildings got to be repaired or pushed down. We're not just going to sit here and let them fall down. And we need to have a goal of some sort and start budgeting money for different projects that we can complete. You have realistic goals, and it's going to take everybody's opinion on where we need to go, what we need to work on first. I think the department heads need to give us their ideas on what they want. I know maintenance is going to have a plan for more vehicles. The ones we bought aren't going to last forever. They're going to need another tractor and another weed eater. What kind of equipment do they want in the future? What kind of things do they want to do in the future? Just whatever's going on in the fort. We got to trim trees and do stuff. We need a plan on we're going to trim up Scales Road. We're going to get all the moss out of the trees. I don't know, all that ball moss down there at the pool. It looks like it's a lot worse now than it was a couple years ago to me. And it'll kill them trees after a while. And if we don't do something to them, that pool might not look too sporty down there if there ain't a tree bigger than a 2-foot fig tree down there. I mean, it'll be a hard sell at that pool. So we need to start figuring out ways to improve things and have the membership behind. We need to do what the membership wants, and the membership needs to do what we want. That way everybody's kind of pulling in the same direction. We're not all tugging in different directions on things. And it'll take a while to get any kind of a plan together. So we need to start from the department heads, the management, Janelle, the board's ideas, kind of get something together and let the membership chew it over a little bit and see what we want to do and start actually, this is the way we're going to go, and we're going to have $5 a week go into this fund or $3 a year, or whatever it is, and start making a goal and showing everybody that's what we're going to do. And it won't be just this board, it'll be something for the next board to continue on. So we don't go left here and right the next time. Everybody will be going down the same path.
And you have to realize, you the members, you have to realize that if you back a 5-year plan in gold, then just because we have an election in 2 years and majority of the board changes, then you got to back the previous board so we have an ongoing plan. We don't have that. We don't have a progress. We talked about a new RV building over there, which is, the one we got is terrible. If we go forward for that, we're going to ask the membership. There's a lot of expert help out here in our membership that could get out there and, like me, I'd be willing to paint the inside of a building. I professionally painted for 10 years at no charge. You buy the equipment, buy my brushes and the ladders we need, and I'll paint it and get some people to help. There's some people that would probably volunteer to do the plumbing. But I'm saying there's expertise out here that we can utilize that would lower the cost of building a new RV park building that would benefit everybody, because if we got a newer building, that's going to bring in more revenue. But we can build it substantially lower if everybody in their community chips in and works. Now,
this would be a great idea for a town hall forum.
And this
5-year and 10-year plan, and where we expect to get the money for these 5-year and 10. This would be a great idea for your first town hall forum. Mr. Wright?
Yes, I believe that your planning committee is the one that used to have a 5-year plan and all that, but You disbanded it.
No, they disbanded themselves, sir. I said it. We didn't disband. They said they,
Because
It was lack of support and direction from the current, that time's current board is why they disbanded. I was on it at the time. And we asked and asked, where would y'all like our direction to go? And we could not get a consensus from the board where they wanted you to go with it.
and, one person on the board can't give you direction on a planning committee. Anyway, this is a good idea.
Oh, it is a good idea. It really is.
You look, let's, for example, let's say we pick on a project of saying, getting Dickman Hall open so that we can bring in groups and generate more revenue than we are at the motel room and be able to open up Seminole Hall into a center for more beds and stuff like that. It's going to take cash, all right? And I'm here to tell you as treasurer, we're cash strapped. So if the board comes up and says, look, it's kind of like a bond issue. If we come up and say, would you be willing as a membership, now this is just an example, if we come up and ask you, would you be willing to pay $10 a month more for 2 years to fund this project for 2 years? It'd be like a bond. You'd have to vote on it, but the board would have to ask your support. You go out here in the neighborhoods or in the towns and they got a project that they want funded, bonded issue, they pass a bond. We can't pass a bond because we're not a municipality, but we could ask for you to agree to have your assessments raised $10 a month for 2 years only. And that would generate, if you did it for 1 year, that would generate $200,000 for a project. Now, that money would only be earmarked for that project. That's just an idea, all right? People hate, I'm a retired person, and I hate to talk about raising my assessment, but if it meant paying $10 a month for 2 years to get Dickman Hall open as a restaurant, I'd be all for it. I'd pay the extra $10 a month. You look at the road issues, everybody passed to have their road issues. Now, I'm paying basically $200 a year more in taxes to fund the roads out here. There's some people that wound up didn't have to pay that much. But, it was worth it. It's worth it. I may be dead and gone before that's paid off, that $200 a month, but it was a 20-year, I think it was 20-year, wasn't it?
Well, something, we're fixing to interview for a director of operations. That's a good question to ask them. How do you propose we make up the money to do some of these things? Where would you say on a plan, or how would you propose we put a 5 or 10 year plan out here? What's your ideas on this to a new director? How do you think we can raise money to do these things or something? I mean, here's a prime opportunity to put somebody's feet to the fire if we're going to hire them as a DO. So that's one way you can interview these new people. Put their feet to the ground. Give us a plan.
It also does is make the department heads give you a budget because they have a long-range goal that they can look at. Instead of saying, I need 15 trucks this year and then I won't bother you next year, you got a long-range goal, their budgets would make more sense.
One more thing in the audience, and then we need to move on.
The other thing is, right now it's a 6-month plan because the board of directors changes every 6 months, and then we got a whole new plan, and we've got to get rid of that.
It changes every year.
Every election.
He was making fun of us.
Yeah, I understand. You had people quit. Yeah. You're right.
Or they got an axe that they tried to grind that didn't work, and so they walk away, and then we start all over. We got to get rid of that.
Yeah, well,
but before we can make a plan, we've got to worry about today. Before we can make a plan, we've got to get our house in order before you can make a plan. So what was the discussion while I was gone? Are we going to do this? Are we going to table it? What are we going to do here?
We voted, or we discussed more or less. I thought it was a good idea.
So how do you want to proceed with it? I think that's a great first town hall project myself. But I need this from somebody else.
Roby, it's your idea. What do you want?
You want to defer this to the first time?
I guess everybody needs to work on it, and we'll take it up later at another meeting at some other point in time. we'll table it. I move to table it until we bring it up again and everybody kind of be, management and board and membership be working on it in the meantime.
And I would ask, and I'll second that in the motion, but in the process of seconding that
But if we
motion,
table it, we don't need the motion.
well, all right. Well, in the process of being tabled, I would ask that the membership, if you think you got an idea for a 5-year plan, that you would give it to the board. Thank you.
If you've got any ideas on this, be sure, maybe we need to find a suggestion box and put it up front. Number 29, discussion consideration Fort Clark activities for the upcoming summer, parentheses, Memorial Day, 4th of July, etc.
Janelle, who was doing that last year? I make a motion we discuss this item 29.
I got a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I got a motion and a second to discuss Fort Clark activities for upcoming summer.
Okay. I'm sorry, Mr. Young, what are you
No.
talking about, 4th of
Well, I
July?
was waiting for the motion.
Oh, okay.
All in
Okay,
favor?
go ahead.
For discussion.
Now discussion. Janelle, who, as far as 4th of July and Memorial Day, what organizations were involved in that?
Memorial Day, there wasn't really any kind of a celebration. I mean, just it really
No, I
wasn't.
know it wasn't.
The 4th of July, it was, there was like a committee, but it was kind of representative of the city, the county, and Fort Clark. We've always.
Spofford was involved too.
Yes, Spofford was involved. We've always pretty much provided, I guess, the location, and then there was different committees on it. They determined who they were going to, particular group they were going to recognize that year in the, their ceremony.
And as far as
But it's just been I guess, kind of a joint county effort, if you will.
County,
yes, sir.
city,
yes, sir.
Fort.
Yes, sir.
And as far as I can remember, the only participation the board had in it was to make a donation.
Well, and the release of our grounds.
And the release of.
There's always been a board, or the manager's always been involved in that committee.
The manager, I guess, has gone. The board hasn't, as far as the
board
voting to say, yeah, that we can have this or this or this up here. That's not ever happened.
I'm just saying,
if y'all to
to
vote
me,
on it, well,
was
that's
just like, we just made a donation to it. The board approved the donation.
Mm-hmm. Now I think one year we split the cost of the band. One year we gave so much toward the fireworks. Our expense has been minimal, really. Yes, sir, but you're correct.
My idea about this was just all these times of revenue generating things and time to advertise the fort, get more people over here, and not necessarily from Wisconsin or Pennsylvania, but from Uvalde or Lakey or Rock Springs or Del Rio, or, if we can somehow get more people coming to the fort to see what we've got to offer, make bigger, better 4th of July celebrations, or day after Mother's Day celebration, or whatever you want to do for a celebration. Just something to help advertise the fort. We're going to have to work on getting new people here, more marketing, just getting the fort and the board involved in better ideas to help make things bigger. The Frontier Christmas was, I guess, Tim Ward's daughter kind of got that started maybe last year.
And it was a joint effort, and
but I think that's something the fort needs to really help expand.
Yes, sir. That committee has continued. As a matter of fact, after Mr. Jared left, I was, put on that committee. They've been having regular meetings. I've only been able to attend one, but they continue to have regular meetings. They plan to make it essentially better than it was last year.
And you may know that, but I don't know that as a board member, and I'm interested in making the fort bigger and better. All the things that we can do to get involved in that, I think we need to discuss and decide what we can do to help make it bigger and better. What's in it for the fort, what's in it for the area. It just doesn't need to be what's in it for the fort, but the whole area as well. And to not wait till the last minute before it's 4th of July and we got to hurry up and go over to Del Rio and buy fireworks or something.
No, there's a...
Kathy, you've got a comment?
We've been meeting for about a year.
Yes.
Out at Rio Grande Electric. And the Frontier Christmas, Rio Grande Electric, the city, the county, everyone is involved. The next meeting is May the 24th at 4 o'clock at the courthouse.
And I know this 4th of July committee, I know they've already had one meeting, maybe two, I don't know for sure. That's the one you're talking about. Okay.
We're all meeting.
We're all meeting together, okay. I do know I was on that committee 1 year. The reason I do know, I was so busy I couldn't do justice to the committee, but I have for the last 5 years made the certificates, the programs, until last year when they didn't give me enough time to do the programs. So I do a lot of things for that committee on a volunteer basis on different things for them. But I could not actually do the committee justice and be on the committee with other obligations I had last year. But I do know that it's well thought out. They get the donations for the fireworks. Most of the stuff, like Janelle said, the fort is minimal. And I know there's a big controversy with some people about where it's held. In my opinion, shooting the fireworks across over to Brackettville takes a lot of the stuff away from us as far as our buildings, and as much planning with the volunteer fire department, I think that we cover our bases pretty good. But that's going to be an issue the closer we get, so everybody keep that in mind. But it is a well thought out, and you being new, you may not know, because like you said before, you've never attended board meetings and things. So it's just some things that, there are committees that work very hard on this stuff.
A lot in the background.
Well, and we need to be, I guess, I'm not appraised of it, but maybe we need a committee report letting us know what we can do to help before, you know, maybe, I don't know.
This all goes back to communication, communication, communication.
So anyway, and you seem like you're in charge or one of the officers of that committee?
I'm on the committee.
You're on the committee?
I'm on both of them.
On both of them. Would you?
Does that help you understand this thing?
Right.
Memorial Day thing, I do know that that's the start of our summer season at our pool. Normally, the recreation department has done like a hot dog cook or something and raise money for recreation. Are y'all planning on that this year?
We will discuss that at this meeting and see,
Okay.
but they haven't said anything about it because we didn't need any money. We have plenty of money in the recreation. So they did not plan.
Make a donation to the fort, because we don't have plenty of money.
Has enough money to operate, and that was the only reason we did that, was to raise money to operate. So we did not plan anything for this Memorial Day. If you want something done, we could do it, but it's kind of late right now.
Well, I just knew that's how it had been in the past, that
Yes.
normally Memorial Day, it was the big kickoff for the lifeguards to starting the charging down there, that type of thing. That is our normal just kickoff for our summer season.
It is going to be open, and we will have lifeguards right
Okay.
now.
Yes.
But we didn't plan anything to raise money because we don't need the money.
15-minute discussion period.
I thought you were getting up slapping.
Did I need to do that? Did I have to stand for that?
Go ahead,
You haven't
Karen.
been behaving?
I think Karen had her hand up.
Yeah, Karen, you're the first one on here.
Yeah.
You're first one on there.
Numero uno.
I had to. I had to.
This seems perhaps anticlimactic, but I did want to point out to the board that literature that I picked up from the Springs, it's titled The Springs, an assisted living and memory care facility. This is literature that I picked up when I was asked to attend one of their meetings as a prospective board member. And in this document, it says that the board, referring to the Board of Directors of Fort Clark Springs, has voted to give the facility a long-term lease on 17 ideal acres for a building site. You do not need to rebut this. I know this is not true. My concern is that before having that lease in hand, they were making that statement in the literature they were putting out. They also had, in another area of this document, under the significant players in the creation of the Springs, Fort Clark Springs Association, the owners of the land from which a long-term lease has been granted for the location of the Springs. I will be very brief. My concern that I want to pass on to you is that a group that will get ahead of themselves so much, I wonder if they are not also very far ahead of them in their anticipation of what support they could get from an entity like, sorry, the name escapes me, but the group that runs
Morningside Ministries?
Yes, Morningside Ministries. Another concern I have is that they have given apparently no thought as to the proximity of that land to the gun ranges. That is going to be an issue going forward because of, you know, acoustic
There's a few wings here.
issue, okay? And then the last,
Get another old person.
and just moving on to another subject just really quickly. Drainage at the commissary. I just asked that the Preservation and Restoration Committee, which some of you will be on that committee, please consider when you're directing and studying the flow of water down the hill that we have drainage problems coming down that hill that Neil Simmons built berms.
The berms are there, yes.
Right, to try to keep the water out of our house.
Right.
And if it rains hard enough, fast enough, it lakes up and threatens to come in our house already. So you have to be very careful of directing any more flow that is not carefully studied towards our house. Please, 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 please. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And your concern there was another concern I had, which I have my copy of that highlighted also.
Yeah, I read it.
Yes.
Debbie, I just wanted to remind everybody, I wasn't here for announcements, and Recreation Committee is having their potluck at 6 o'clock on Monday at the Service Club. I just wanted to remind everybody of that.
I passed that out, information.
Thank you so much. And also, I didn't give a RV committee report, and we are alive and well out there. We've got, besides our 7 that live there all the time, we've got 4 with the wind generation in, and 18 with the pipeline right now, and I have other people coming in, and they've all been very good so far. I put out a notice for them to slow down on the fort and reminded them that we do have rules and regulations and make sure that they go along with those. And the grass is growing great, and we're just happy campers out there.
If you continue to have problems with the speeding, could you let Matt know? I, as a property manager, called him last night. I noticed a renter coming through there, or a renter's truck. I found out it wasn't the actual renter in his truck. But if we don't, as members, let somebody know, we cannot correct the problems. Like I say, I'm a manager. I knew what the truck was. I called Matt, our security, to let them know they needed to make a visit to that property. There was one other name on here, and it was Woody Trotter with fireworks. They left.
Before the fireworks.
At this time, I believe that that's all of our actual items on our agenda. As far as I know, we will be going into an executive session after we shut down this meeting. I will put the date and the time on my certified agenda. When we come back in, I will give you those times when we actually started and we actually convened. At this time, this meeting is adjourned for now.
Are you going to break for lunch?
No.
No.
Okay.
I'm not coming back. I'm
All right.
going to go
All
ahead
right.
and do what
I
we
just
gotta
asked.
do. Is Helena McBride still here?
No.
I have the documentation.